the talent. Like I just said, Michael Harris Jr. just became Rookie of the Year. And the runner-up for Rookie of the Year was a pitcher that he also scouted and drafted as well.
Yep.
So that's a good move. And as a Houston Astros fan,
Amen.
you should be very, very excited of what the development will be in the organization.
Yeah. Well, Houston sports fans need something good. The Texans around this time ain't providing, they're not providing much optimism.
Man, you got the number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah, the Rockets not providing much optimism. So I'm glad the Astros throwing something good out there with the hire of Dana Brown. Let's get to the NFL because there are a couple of there are a lot of stories actually, but a few of them are the top headlines of the day. Gentlemen, the Panthers made a hire. Finally, the coaching carousel stops with one team. Frank Reich, who was the former Colts coach, who was just recently fired earlier this season. He has now been hired as the Panthers head coach. I've always said, and we'll get to this, how this affects the Cowboys, actually, because remember Kellen Moore was one of the names that was mentioned as one of the front runners potentially for that job. Even Albert Breer mentioned that recently, too. But we'll get to that in a second. But the hire of Frank Reich, the biggest issue for Frank Reich when he was at the Indianapolis Colts was that he didn't understand that as a coach, your job security is tied to your quarterback. And he's, like I said, I thought he did a damn good job there, actually. Should have made the playoffs in 3 out of the 5 years, but Carson Wentz pulled the Carson Wentz and ended up losing to Jacksonville in that last game, and then they didn't make the playoffs. But you're talking about 5 years there with 5 different starting quarterbacks in Indianapolis and made the playoffs twice. Like I said, probably should have made it 3 times. And I think ultimately that's why he ended up being on the hot seat, and that's what ended up being the curtain call on his time there and his tenure there was because you got to understand that your job security is always tied to the QB position. And if a head coach is on the hot seat, inevitably, most of the time it's because there's quarterback instability.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues there. And for him, even though he was winning games with these different quarterbacks, it didn't matter, man. You got to figure out who your quarterback is to face your franchise. That's part of your job as the head coach.
So let me ask you this: with the new hire and him being named that, does he do this quarterback carousel, which would have been a red flag for me, right?
It is.
Would have been a red flag for you as a head, as the GM of the organization? It's like, okay, we're going to hire you as our head coach, but will you give me the satisfaction of saying that you're not going to try to change quarterbacks every single year? But was that him or was it Jim Irsay? Was that something that Jim Irsay wanted to do? It was like, we saw what happened eventually where he ended up having to fire people, but he wanted this quarterback to play. He wanted that quarterback to play. Is this something that you believe that Frank Reich moving into this position is going to provide more stability at the quarterback position?
That's fair. I don't know because he's a loose cannon.
Right.
He's a wild card. We know that.
So how did he get this job if we see it? How's nobody else looking at that?
Well, I'm just saying, like in terms of you're talking about the owner and Jim Irsay stepping in.
That one.
Yes,
okay, I thought you meant the quarterback.
No. I'm talking about Jim Irsay is a loose cannon. So you're right. I don't know. He could be manipulating things behind the scenes. I have no idea.
Okay.
So maybe Frank Reich did talk to the Panthers ownership and said, no, that wasn't me, man. I had a lot of pressure to play different quarterbacks. There was a lot of people that believed that Jim Irsay wanted Matt Ryan to be benched and wanted to see other quarterbacks, and that was one of the reasons that they got tired of Frank Reich that season. Even though, that was one of the first seasons where he had a disastrous start to the season. He was 10-6. 7-9, 11-5, 9-8, and then 4-12. Now I'm not saying he deserved to keep his job, but did make the playoffs, like I said, in 2 of those years. And if he'd have made the playoffs, I believe with Carson Wentz, then I don't think the doomsday clock would have been ticking on him.
Right.
Like it was. I think when Carson Wentz failed to make the playoffs in that year, and they were on track I think that I think ultimately that was the beginning of the end for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And you got to find your quarterback. That's part of your job.
That is your job.
The quarterback is something different to everybody. For fans, it's about hope, right? Fans get a new quarterback. I'm a Texans fan. We're looking for hope and optimism, all right? That's about hope for the future. It's about jersey sales and merchandising to be the face of the franchise, to the ownership and the GM. And for the head coach, it's job security. You ain't got a good quarterback, you ain't got job security.
And you would think that he would be better at that position because that's what he played. But it goes back to what we talked about a lot of times about John Elway. John Elway was terrible at choosing his quarterback, even though he played the quarterback position.
Michael Jordan's a terrible scout, too.
Right.
Like, it's just hard for greatness to sometimes think, like, oh, this guy can't do all the things. His brain doesn't work like my brain works. So if I see his arm, I immediately think, oh, he can make the throw. Why won't he make the throw? Not thinking, oh, he can't read a defense and can't do that. The question I have is if you're the Panthers and you say, well, the big deal with Frank Reich is he can't find a quarterback, and, well, our biggest flaw is we can't find a quarterback, why don't we pair up and then we'll just not find a quarterback? Like, these are two guys that have a similar problem. I mean, the Panthers had Cam Newton. They said, we're going to move on from Cam Newton, so they paid him to go away. Then they bring in Teddy Bridgewater. That doesn't work. They pay him to go away. They go trade for Sam Darnold. They don't like him. Then they go and they bring back Cam Newton, and they're paying him twice now. And then he's not doing any good. And so they draft Sam Howell, but he gets, or not Sam Howell, I can't remember, the other Matt Corral. They draft Matt Corral. Yeah. But he gets hurt, so he can't play. And it's just this. And then they go get P.J. Walker because he's buddies with Matt Rule, and he does a little bit, but he does exactly what you kind of expect him to be at the NFL level. Like, they're that team too. Don't you want to hire maybe a quarterback guy or like? And I get you think Frank Reich's a quarterback guy, but he's clearly not. His track record does not say that in Indianapolis.
Well, I'm not saying that he's not a quarterback guru or quarterback nurturer. I mean, like I said, it's really hard to make the playoffs when you're cycling through quarterbacks. They had the unlucky situation with Andrew Luck, no pun intended, where he decided that, hey, man, he was retiring and God bless him for that. Then they had to move on to Jacoby Brissett, and Brian Hoyer, I think, was the other quarterback. They went 7-9. Then they get an old, aging Phillip Rivers, which was their stopgap. But then I think they thought that Carson Wentz was going to be a renovation project, a successful one.
Man, everybody did.
Yes, and he wasn't.
Right.
So that maybe that's the criticism, Patrick, of him not being a quarterback guru, that he wasn't able to resuscitate the career of Carson Wentz. But hell, man, honestly, I would argue that that's a deeper issue that has to do with Carson Wentz.
I was just about to say,
he chose the wrong quarterback to try to resuscitate.
I was just about to say because he went somewhere else and nobody was able to resuscitate him. So we can't put that on him on that because he tried.
He did,
and everybody else.
But then the Matt Ryan thing, it's like it was a back-to-back things about him trying these quarterbacks, trying to resuscitate them, and then so maybe to Patrick's point, that's why he has a reputation of, hey man,
and Nick Foles,
you're trying to be a quarterback guru, and that you're not really. I don't know if you are. You might be a fraud.
Well, and that's the thing is, all right, and if you are, then you need to go get, even if he's not a starter, you go, hey man, let me find this rookie or find this, let me get at least somebody on this roster that I think I can work with. And he didn't seem to do that ever. And maybe Jim Irsay said, you have zero player control, at least at the quarterback position. But it seems like you should at least get somebody. And then it's like, if it's Nick Foles, then go to Nick Foles at some point before they say we got to go to Ellinger. Say, no, I'm going to put in Nick Foles because I know he can go do what I want him to do. I like Frank Reich. It just seems like a weird fit for him to put him there at a team where you're like, Frank, I don't think you're lasting 3 years at this job. Like, I don't think Carolina's going to be that competitive. You may make the playoffs because it's a terrible division, but it feels like they're like 2 years away from a rebuild.
If he finds his quarterback, he'll be fine. So, and I'm serious because they were winning games at the end of the year. They have actually some good pieces there in Carolina. The biggest issue haunting that franchise, and you said it yourself, Patrick, and also haunting Frank Reich, and maybe that's why they got together. Like, dude, the reason I haven't succeeded is the same reason you haven't succeeded. Right. We just need to find our QB. Can we focus all of our attention on finding the right QB, not just a temporary solution, not just a stopgap, just the right guy that's going to be the franchise quarterback? And that, to me, is going to be the key for them. The Panthers in that division, I mean, they can win games.
They can definitely win.
I'll also mention Foreman is a free agent, so they have to bring him back or figure out what they're going to do at running back because Chuba Hubbard has not looked great.
That's
looked
true.
okay.
But there's no dominant team in the division, period.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So it is a division you can win. If I was Carolina and had all the money in the world, I would have gone for one of the higher. Maybe they just we're not going to get the higher candidate, so we have to go and get this.
Exactly.
And if I'm Frank Reich, I may have waited out to see if I get a job. I just don't think Frank Reich's going to be there in 3 years. I think that owner has enough money that he's going to fire him in a couple years when they just don't. I just don't think they have the pieces, but there are too many pieces getting paid right now in Carolina. It's a weird situation. I would have gone defensive heavy if I was hiring, not offensive heavy, because I think their defense is more ready to go, and then just try to have a capable offense.
Yeah, but I think they want a quarterback to lead the franchise.
I think they do too.
And that's why they hired Frank Reich, because they still think he is a quarterback nurturer and a quarterback guru, and he can help them find that guy. I'm not saying either way he's not or he is, but I think that's where they want to go. Everybody, it's hard it really is hard to build around defense. And I know I've said this about the Cowboys. The Cowboys should try to do it because they have Micah Parsons, who's just a rare freak. But in the NFL, it's hard to do that because there are so many different pieces you have to build around to make your defense great. It's never going to just be one guy. San Fran's got like 3 All-Pros on 3 different levels. Like you got to have 4 or 5 guys because with scheme and a great quarterback, you actually can play elite offense. We've seen it at the college level, high school level.
Yep.
We've seen it at the NFL level. Scheme and a quarterback. There's no scheme in one player that can make you an elite defense.
No, I agree.
Nope, no can't happen. So to build on defense, you want to pay big money for 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. All right, that can help support and build around the structural integrity of your defense. With offense, it actually, even though it sounds crazy, it's a little bit cheaper to go in with a great quarterback because at least then you have an extended window. Defensive window is gonna close like that. Ask the Legion of Boom. It's gonna close like that because you got to pay so many guys. That quarterback, you got to pay that quarterback and just keep building pieces around him that are younger. It's hard to keep drafting really elite pieces on defense because you don't hit all the time. You get that one quarterback, then I can keep drafting receivers and everybody else around them. I can hit on those. Those are easier to hit on. Trying to hit on elite defensive players that are worthy of building a franchise around, really tough to do. It's really tough to do.
No, I agree with all that, 100%. It's also tough to get a really great quarterback in the NFL. There's probably 10 quarterbacks in the NFL that can take a team and go through multiple rebuilds and get pieces put around them. So if you're one of the 22 other teams, that's why I say I don't know if they're going to find that guy in the next 3 years.
I think it's worth it for the NFL. And what you have to understand about the NFL is, the NFL basically the salary cap when they shifted and changed everything and basically made it easier. Essentially gave everybody a tax break. You think of the salary cap basically like part of the or the collective bargaining agreement, right? The CBA. It's basically like part of the Constitution of the United States, right? In our like our tax code and different things like that, right? It's their agreement with the people or their agreement with their constituency, and the salary cap to me. The part of it that they shifted and decided to make rookie quarterbacks a lot cheaper. Remember, they decided the rookie wage scale, they shifted everything. I don't know, that's 2010, 2011, something like that. And they put that into the CBA. Essentially, they were telling everybody out there, every organization, we're going to make it cheaper for you to rebuild with the quarterback. If you want to move on from a quarterback and just draft a rookie and then have the advantage of a rookie salary, all right, for the most important position on the field, which usually is going to account for 20% of your salary cap, something like that, we'll give you that tax break. It's a tax break, right? And what are tax breaks? Tax breaks are basically things that Uncle Sam decides, these stimulate our economy, so we'll give you a tax break on it. You own property, that helps our economy. You're a family man, or you got a family, all right, that helps our economy. That's good for you. You got your own business, that helps our economy. So we'll give you a tax break on it. We're going to help you out a little bit. And what helps out the NFL? Quarterbacks. Having great quarterbacks. Why? Because it's fantasy football. Because they're the faces of the franchise. Because that's the jerseys. That's what everybody pays for. So quarterbacks help the NFL. Even if you're cycling through quarterbacks every now and then, it's still good for the NFL. Because we talk about quarterbacks. We're not going to talk about the cornerback or the defensive end that nobody wants or that's a bust. Nope, we're going to talk about the quarterback that's one. Because it helps the NFL. It helps the NFL with headlines. So the NFL is all about, we're going to give you a tax break to start over with the quarterback. And that's why it's actually in their best interest of Carolina to just keep, rolling the dice, because the NFL's helping you out there. They're giving you a tax break on it. You got the rookie on the rookie contract. You essentially could keep starting over if you want to. Now, Now,
I don't
owners
think
are not
other
going to like
people
it.
will. Yeah, I was just about to say.
And the fans are not going to like it, but you can keep starting over every 2 or 3 years once you realize, oh, this ain't the guy. Move on, start over again.
Yeah. No, and I agree with everything you just said, which is why I do not think Frank Reich will be there in 3 years.
Yeah, no, I'm not,
because I think they are rolling the dice
Yeah.
on a very improbable solution that is the right. It's the best way to do it if you can do it right. I just don't. It's just really hard to do.
It's hard. It's hard both ways.
Hard, yeah.
It ain't easy either way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I think their way, the way they're going about it, is probably the most. Right now, it's the most popular. Approach to it. The defense approach, nobody's really doing it. I mean, who's done it? Shano is probably the one that is zigging right now where most of the NFL is zagging. He's not. It's not. And by the way, they just shifted. Remember, they tried Trey Lance. They wanted to go all in on the quarterback thing, and then it blew up in their face. And they were like, and Shano's
only because of injury, though. We don't know what he would have had, though.
I know I don't know what he had. But my point is,
yeah.
it blew up in their face, and they were the one that was kind of zigging when everybody else was zagging. He loves drafting D linemen early in the first round, doubling down on running backs because that's part of his system, and not really having to be built around the star quarterback. But they tried, and I haven't talked to him about it, but I bet it's still like frustrating that, the one damn time I decided, we're going all in on QB, it blew up in his damn face. And remember the reports were that he wanted a different quarterback anyway. He wanted Mac Jones, and that he was compelled to draft
the
Wayne,
fact that he traded away draft picks traded up to go get him, that's where it was like, I thought I had it.
And now you got Purdy.
Yeah, now you got Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, who I continue to say, don't forget, when he was going into his junior year, he was one of the top quarterbacks on the board as far as draft pick. And then he played one more year, and he was like, Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into some more. There's a ton of NFL discussion to be had. The domino effect of Frank Reich taking that Panthers job means that Kellen Moore is likely going to stay the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys unless they make a move. All right, we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll talk about that when we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Twin Peaks because they have the best happy hour in the city. You got to check it out for yourself. Go over there from 2 to 7 p.m. It's happening right now as we speak, Monday through Friday. You can score great deals like $1 off all wine, liquor, cheap shots, and freezing cold 29-degree draft brews. So if you're a baller on a budget like I am, and most of y'all I'm sure are, you can enjoy a great happy hour going on at Twin Peaks, and you can do it with great prices. They got appetizers available for $2, $4, and $6 during happy hour. And if you love the night specials, the late night specials, they also have great late night specials over there at Twin Peaks. So if you're looking for a new favorite spot for lunch, dinner, or those late night eats, don't forget about Twin Peaks because their lunch specials are fantastic, and I love their menu overall. It's a scratch menu. Every delicious dish on the menu is made from scratch. So if you're thinking about a new favorite spot for lunch, dinner, you got to consider my friends over at Twin Peaks. It's a great sports bar as well. So if you need somewhere to watch the conference championship games this weekend, you also need somewhere to watch your favorite sport, your favorite team. Trust me, Twin Peaks is the perfect place. A great sports bar, but so much more than just a sports bar. Go check out the website at twinpeaksrestaurant.com. They can let you know everything happening at your local Twin Peaks, the Stastny location, the San Marcos location, or the Round Rock location. That's Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, and scenic views. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday right here on Ball Don't Lie. And that's when my man Patrick, the Idealionaire, plays songs and selections for us coming back from the breaks. And based on those songs, we're supposed to gather hints and clues that are going to lead us to exactly what the theme of the day is on New Theme Thursday. All right, Hart said he got it again.
All right, here it is.
All right.
This is Triple H's intro music.
Yeah.
It's all about the game.
Okay.
And this is when Triple H made his entrance into the Royal Rumble.
So
It does have to do with the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble is this Saturday in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
That's
it does
good.
have to do with that.
That's good.
But it is more specific.
More
Is this when he won the Royal Rumble? Is this when he won it?
It's more specific than that. And we'll see as we keep going.
Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, you know what, y'all? You might have upset him yesterday when you got it on the first try.
Now he's like, you know what?
It's more specific.
More specific. I gotta go specific.
I know you're
Specific.
close.
More specific
Royal Rumble
than
this
that.
weekend.
Yeah.
Royal
But
Rumble
I
this
need
weekend.
more than that.
Turn off. Oh, no, turn off. Turn off the text line.
yeah, that's right.
Turn off the text line.
I know they're just saying that sounds like Mickey. It's Lemmy, man. It's Motorhead.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, but I'm just saying. I think you challenged him hard.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
challenged.
like,
I'm coming
what?
at you. Got
Yeah.
Got it the first
specific.
try?
I'm going to put
More
more
specific.
specific theme Thursday.
Specific, because you went 3 different ones. You went it's Triple H theme
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
then it's the Royal Rumble. He's like, no, more specific.
More
I was
specific.
like, I thought he's being pretty specific.
No, he's doing good. He knows the song.
No, it's
He
good
knows
though.
he knows why I picked this
Hey,
song.
okay.
I love
But
it.
you got to
Hey,
figure out.
All right.
I'm all about it, man.
I'm all in.
Okay, let's talk about the domino effect of Frank Reich taking the Panthers job because it has an effect on the Cowboys. Kellen Moore, matter of fact, let me read this report from
Come on.
Albert Breer. So, because I didn't think Kellen Moore was a serious candidate for that Panthers job. Thought they were just bringing him in, just for the sake of it, for the hell of it. Turns out Albert Breer is reporting. He said the Panthers' second interview with their interim coach Steve Wilks took place last night. He said, "I'm told also I wouldn't discount the Cowboys' OC Kellen Moore here. He's not out of the race as Carolina comes down the home stretch to pick their guy." So he was right about them going down the stretch. He also put that on top of a tweet where the Panthers are conducting their second interview with Frank Reich today in Charlotte. So obviously they were high on Frank Reich because they hired him. But no, Kellen Moore, he's not taking that gig, and I don't remember him interviewing
Anywhere else.
other
Right.
place.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, if I'm off about that, let me know. I apologize if I'm off, but I think he's going to end up being with Dallas unless the Cowboys decide they want to move on. And gentlemen, the Cowboys, I mean, there was 6 different coaches today, assistant coaches, by the way, just assistant coaches that the Cowboys ultimately decided to move on from. Linebacker coach George Edwards, assistant D-line coach Leon Lett, the running backs coach Skip Pete. Yes, he also is out. And these are just basic coaches. They are not extending their contracts. So I don't know if they were technically fired or they just did not, extend their contracts, whatever. But they are no longer the coaches with the team. Joe Philbin, the offensive line coach, and the quarterback coach, Doug Nussmeier, they won't return. Also, assistant head coach Rob Davis and quality control analytics coach. I don't know exactly what that was, but Kyle Valero, he is also out. So that's a lot of guys. I mean, so you're talking about 6 coaches, assistant coaches who are done. So they're going to end up hiring a brand new, I would say a brand new staff. Essentially, at least half their staff will be new. And we don't know what's happening with Dan Quinn. By the way, he is interviewing for a second time with the Colts. So he's had 2 second interviews, Colts and Cardinals so far. So good chance Dan Quinn takes one of those jobs if he is a serious contender or a finalist.
Yeah, and this whole thing, I think this is why Jerry was saying I'm sick, is because he knew that all these contracts were expiring.
Yeah.
He knew that he was going to have to move on for a lot of guys on their last years of their deal as players. Mm-hmm. So it was creating we have to go now.
Yeah.
But when you say I trust my guys and I believe in my guys, these are the same guys that you have had that have not gotten you over the hump. So now, financially, you can go and pay coaches as much as you want. We've talked about that before. That doesn't hurt your salary cap. That doesn't hurt anything that you're doing with the player side of it. So if you decide you want to renegotiate with some of these guys and bring them back, that too is on the table. They can get new contracts. But I think that is why he was at that point of frustration. I think that is why Jerry was sitting there saying, I want to win it with this group of people because I believe in this group of people. And once again, he's put himself in a situation where it has not worked out for him. Mm-hmm. He's put himself out there. He's had these conversations with us as the fans. He's had it with the media every single week. That is why he believes so much. And now he's walking around with egg on his face again. But my biggest question is, what are you going to do to replenish that coaching staff? What are you going to do with these relationships that have been forged with a lot of these players? And more importantly, what are you going to do when you realize, as of now, you may seriously have to replace Dan Quinn?
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. I think that's most Cowboys fans' biggest concern. And I think Kellen Moore is going to be the OC there next season for Cowboys fans, whether you like it or not.
Have we read the Clarence Hill tweet that he just put out about 20 minutes ago? He said, Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy said he's meeting with Kellen Moore tomorrow. He would not say that Kellen Moore was coming back as offensive coordinator when asked.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So he said he's already met with Dan Quinn, but the future is still shady on that, but he is meeting with Kellen Moore tomorrow.
Hey, y'all remember in the scene in Scarface where Tony Montana is sitting there and he's looking at the TV and he's flipping through and he goes, "Fly, pelicans, fly." And it wasn't a pelican. You know what I'm saying? It was a flamingo.
Yeah.
Fly, pelican, fly, Kellen Moore. Let's get a different change. Let's get a different voice, and maybe we can figure something else out. Because, again, we've talked about this yesterday. Dak's not going anywhere. He's still there. Mike McCarthy seems to be safe because he's having meetings with people and telling them that they are no longer on the staff, or Jerry's doing it. Regardless, we just got the report. Like you said, Chill just gave us that. So now you should expect to see another offensive coordinator. Is that the missing link for this team?
I wonder who's at the top of the list.
I agree. You got to have a plan.
Yeah, that'd be my biggest concern. Is like, okay, who's at the top of the list then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Eric Bieniemy? You got to go out and get Eric B. What you going to do?
Is it Joe Brady?
What are you doing?
Is it Joe Brady?
Is it Joe Brady?
Is it Joe Brady?
No, but I mean, that's the interesting part is when I was looking through all the cuts or the people they're not bringing back, you're like, look, I mean, I was very harsh on Joe Philbin at the O-line position at the beginning of the year and all the penalties and everything. And then he went, the O-line played decent this year. Mm-hmm. I think they did well for all the injuries and everything else they had to go through. So you're like, all right, are you sure you're going to bring in someone better? Are you sure you're not stunting the growth of some of your young linemen by taking the voice that they know and putting them in a different voice in their second year, third year? So there is part of it, but I think if you're going to shake it up, and if Dan Quinn's probably gone, you might as well shake everything up because then hopefully you are set for the future instead of, hey, well, let's keep Kellen Moore, and then if we do well next year, he's gone as a head coach. Like, we know he's gone in 1 year if he does well, or he's gone next year because his contract's up, and we don't going to keep him because we're firing everybody. Mm-hmm. So we know he's not here in 2 years, no matter like winning or losing. He's probably gone in a year, so we can make him in the move ahead of time.
Yep. No, I'm with you. It's interesting. You start thinking about it though with the Cowboys.
Trying to piece it together, right?
Yeah, if they're gonna go wholesale changes, and I think they anticipate Dan Quinn leaving. I mean, I guess basically this would essentially be like getting a brand new system on both sides of the ball. Maybe that pushes the Cowboys over the top. Maybe that's something you can maximize Dak with. I'm a Kellen Moore fan, but I agree that there needs to be a change, and I think this could be it for Dak and Kellen Moore. That relationship, which has been very unique, because they've competed against one another. He's been his quarterback coach and his OC. They might have reached their peak. They might have reached their peak together already. And not saying I'm not a Kellen Moore fan anymore, but he might need to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
for him to grow as a play caller and a coordinator, but also in order for Dak to have that growth as well as a player. They just can't grow together anymore.
They can't.
Like something stopped. They've hit a ceiling. I think it's pretty obvious.
It's like
they've hit a set, but they've done well.
We've maximized our time together.
Yeah,
it's like people at jobs. Sometimes you got to make a move for you to flourish a little bit more because the highest position I can give you is the CEO, and you possibly want to be an owner. You know what I'm saying? How can you go do that? I have to go somewhere else and create my own way. So for them, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it because we have to figure something else out.
Yeah,
because you said it perfectly. The way that that offense has operated, we've been at the top. We've been in the middle.
Offense.
We've been at the bottom.
Top 5 offense.
You created all this noise, but what is the finished product when you – and I love the way that you said it. How do we maximize our ability when we're going up against 4? We have to win 4 games against the 4 best teams. Is this our ceiling? With each other. Mm-hmm. Because you might have dressed it up perfectly for me. You have given Texas Longhorn game plans week after week after week. How do you beat the Longhorns? How do you beat the other team? You've given it. But they haven't exceeded that area, right? So now it's to that point of, well, I've given you the game plan every single week, and we're still not executing it. Maybe it's your voice. Maybe it's I'm tired of listening to you. Mm-hmm. Let's change the voice and change the people inside, and let's go. My boy Sean Adams used to always say, if you can't change your friends, change your friends. You feel me? And so maybe that's what's happening. If we can't change the result, maybe we need to change the result. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And I will say, if you're the Cowboys, you need to make this move sooner rather than later, to be fair to Kellen Moore as well. Yeah. But there is a lot of decent and good offensive coordinator positions available right now. And the more you hold out on this move, you're hurting him being able to go and apply for some of these other offensive coordinator positions where he can go do and show what he can do.
That's fair.
You don't want to leave the relationship that way because it looks poorly on you when you're hiring your next guys. Another guy goes, hey, remember when you treated that guy where you waited till all the positions were full and then you let him go, so now he's a quarterback's coach somewhere instead of an offensive coordinator?
Well, and they like Kellen Moore too. I mean,
exactly.
Right.
So if you're going to make that move, make it now. Plus, you want to have more options on your coaching search.
Yeah, you need to, the sooner the better with that. We'll see. That could be big news if the Cowboys decide to move on from Kellen Moore, and then Dan Quinn also takes another job. Then you'd be looking for 2 different coordinators. All right, we come back. We got the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Iron Workers Local 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935, and as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Iron Workers Local Union 482. You see the labors of their love all over this great city and iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. The Iron Workers Local 482 don't go to the office, folks. They build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Iron Workers Local Union 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Iron Workers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people right now for a huge project. So become a member of Iron Workers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday based on the jams my man Patrick plays. We're supposed to be able to gather clues and hints as to what the new theme of the day is. All right, Hard says he has it. What is it?
Is this Generation DX?
It is not.
Dang it.
All right.
All right, who is this song right here? I mean, whose intro is this?
This is Batista.
Damn.
Good old Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Good
Very
old Drax.
specific.
Good old Drax.
Man.
Okay. All right.
I'm not.
And you're a wrestling guy too, right?
I'm a wrestling guy, but I'm not into the new age wrestling. I'll admit I really am a little lost on the new era of wrestling.
But these are all guys that you know, though. DX, you know, but
I'm a little bit
Batista.
older than that. I know Batista.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wasn't that into it then. By then, I had, kind of moved on. I started having regular sex. It's okay.
That mug said I had moved on. I started having regular.
Oh, speaking of the flex,
I'm like, how do we get there?
I'm sorry. FLXATX.com, FLXATX, and all your social media platforms. Go check out. They got the basketball schedule for the Friday games up there, so you can go check that out at FLXATX.com, and also the power rankings for the local basketball teams in the area. You can go check that out at FLXATX.com. So go check it out. All right. We come back. We were gonna get into some conference championship preview stuff. We gotta table that.
Yeah, we got a lot.
We gotta
happening.
table that because there's breaking news coming from all over the place. Cowboys related breaking news that we got to get to. So we'll do that on the other side, and also do better trying to guess the theme of New Theme Thursday.
Yeah, because it's throwing us off.
Yeah, because right now we look like we are ignoramuses when it comes to it. All right, we'll come back. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. Right here on 104.9 The Horn.
I'm ready. Mike Harch here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Allstat Beer. Allstat is born in Fredericksburg, Texas, right in the heart of the Texas Hill Country. They have a beautiful state-of-the-art brewery. The brewery prides itself on their award-winning German-style beers. The Great American Beer Festival just awarded Allstat Lager, a gold for the second time. This is amazing to me. They also have an amazing fine dining restaurant and a tap room where you could try multiple flavors there. Plan a tour today and see it for yourself. Great beer with great food, and of course, enjoy it with some great friends. On the weekend, the brewery also have live music. So plan a trip today. Go to allstatbeer.com, find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some, or where you can pick some up on your way home. Make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% German ingredients. That means 100% German hops, malts, and yeast. And, of course, they have that natural hill country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets.
Wow. I'm a Hulkamaniac, so I remember this one. Oh, man. Okay. Is it winners of the Royal Rumble?
You're getting closer. Getting closer.
Is this everyone's entrance into the Royal Rumble?
I mean, Rod's getting way closer with winners of the Royal Rumble.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Something Triple H, Batista, and Hulk Hogan have all done.
American, fight for the rights. And remember, guys, all right, Hulk Hogan is not a racist. Terry Bollea is.
Who is? Terry Bollea?
Terry Bollea. He's the racist, but Hulk Hogan is not. So we were like, Robbie,
Let
are
me
you singing
tell
that
you,
song?
brother.
No. Hulk Hogan is a
Keep
damn
eating your
fine.
vitamins.
Yeah, he's a
Keep
damn
eating
fine
your
American.
vitamins.
He wants you to take your vitamins. He wants you to pay your taxes, listen to your mom and dad. I love Hulk Hogan, but I will have to admit as a black man that Terry Bollea, he's a damn racist. I love Mr. Hulk Hogan, though. All right, so you said we're close.
Very close.
I love it.
Oh, man, that disappoints me.
Well, when
I'm
you said
close.
that, though,
What
when
do you
you
think?
said winners,
So
is
we're
close.
on the right track.
Very much on the right track, yes.
All right. Okay. Man, and I thought it was my new age wrestling thing, but it's not. Oh, man. I guarantee you somebody like Jeff Howard, CB's got this
okay,
already.
so all of these guys were in the Royal Rumble, but they all became WWE champion?
I mean, they all did, but no, that is not the reason.
Dang it.
Oh, that was a good
It's
one.
a
That
more
was good.
select list of people.
Did they win their championship via the Royal Rumble?
No. This is a group that I think is at 9 people now.
Oh, whoa.
I got it. You
Give
got
it
it.
to me.
You
Go.
got it?
You go.
They all acted in movies?
Nope.
Dang it.
That is
But they
funny.
have. Because you
Not-
just
not
did-
every-
Yeah,
well-
Batista.
Hulk Hogan was
Hogan.
in
No,
Rocky.
Not everybody. Not everybody in this
A
full
lot of
list.
the-
Not everybody in my
okay.
full list has
Okay.
been
Well,
played.
they're all
okay.
trying to take, I
Yes,
agree with that.
everyone but one of them has.
Okay.
Everybody in wrestling wants to go the same route. Even my man Mark Henry probably wants to go the route. They all
He
want to
did.
go they all want to go the route that The Rock did. The
Yeah,
Rock.
oh, yeah,
The Rock
everybody.
is the ultimate path for every wrestler.
Absolutely.
It's like because you can't wrestle forever because it's really hard on your body. So you'd like that kind of natural path to cross over and transition. And you are an entertainer.
Yep.
And there is acting involved. So there is kind of a natural progression there. And nobody did it better than Rock. Hulk Hogan did it too. But I mean, no holds barred. Hulk Hogan.
No, Mr.
Zeus?
Nanny.
Was it-
Or was it
yeah.
Mr. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, one day was an alien or something at one time.
he was
one-
also in the Three Ninjas.
Yeah, as I'm saying, he tried it for a while, but it
Santa
just,
with muscles.
yeah, he could exactly. But I mean, honestly, now the wrestlers are better actors.
Way better.
Batista can act, and so John Cena's not bad. He's a gay kind of comedic actor too, but nobody's better than Rock. The Rock is, I mean, he's an A-list star.
So,
now.
wait a minute. So, is the next. We'll wait. I'll give it
All
one
right.
more. I'll give it one more.
All right. Usually he makes this one pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I thought we
Look,
did.
I know,
I
close.
told you,
You were
hey,
good.
y'all were
You were
getting too
good.
good. I had to make it super
He did.
specific.
It's your fault, Harge.
I'm sorry.
Yesterday you got it on the first
I'm
try
sorry.
for midweek movie music, and now he's like, they gonna be specific. They
He
gonna be
kept saying it'd be
very
very
specific.
I'm surprised the text line hasn't got it yet.
Yeah,
I turned it off, too. So
I'm surprised they haven't got it.
I expect Texon hasn't gotten it either because you're so specific. He was upset because E-Reigns
Look,
got
I
it.
gave you the
sent
hint.
me a
I think
text.
there's 8 or 9 people who fit into this category.
Oh man.
Okay.
Okay. I can't wait.
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, me
Super
too. Actually,
intrigued.
because you've impressed me with your wrestling knowledge there, Hard.
Oh, I'm a
No doubt.
man. I used to
You used to get into it. huh?
every Saturday night,
Yeah.
like in the very beginning, because I used to deal with the Von Erichs, bro. Don't forget, I'm older than you.
You older, so you go
Yeah,
old school.
I was way in
Yeah, but
Iceman King Parsons.
You before they nationalized it,
Coco
really.
Beware.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I'm
remember
saying?
Coco Beware.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
a fun game.
Yeah.
Just throw out random wrestling names until like somebody. It's gonna be a drinking game. You just throw out random wrestling names until you either repeat the name of somebody
All
else
in.
or
All in, dog. I'm
or
all
you
in.
forget.
Yeah, I'm all in.
That'd be pretty good, though. That'd be pretty good. Anyway, sorry, I shouldn't be encouraging drinking games. Only if you use Uber and Lyft and rideshare if you're gonna do that.
Or just do it at your party at home.
Do it at your party at home. That's right. Yeah, hopefully. Well, if you're at home, like my wife, she's not into that. I can't do it with wifey.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
that's true.
Yeah, she ain't into that.
You be
kind of
drunk by yourself.
stuff. Just naming wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's hit this Cowboy Cowboy story, man, because these are very interesting little nuggets here. There's like 3 different things we got to hit now. And we'll get into the conference championship stuff a little bit later on and get back to the other NFL stories, which were the hiring of Frank Reich by the Carolina Panthers. Nathaniel Hackett was hired by the Jets. So we'll get to that. But the Cowboys, there's a lot going on, man. It's big news. So the biggest news that we've gotten so far is that Dan Quinn, based on now multiple reports, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Tom Pelissero, I believe, was the first one that my man Patrick told me that had it. But other than that, now it's everywhere. That Dan Quinn is basically informed teams that are interested in him as for their head coaching vacancy that he is staying in Dallas. It is a done deal. That is crazy. Okay, can I give you my theory? I told you guys my theory earlier. This is my theory. And maybe I'm on the grassy knoll here by myself, and this makes no sense. I think there's been a discussion between Jerry Jones and Dan Quinn, and Jerry Jones has told Dan Quinn, listen, basically, it's a gentleman's agreement on the down low. You're my head coach in waiting. All right? You're my head coach in waiting. And here's the deal. We are going to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years here. And if we don't win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years or so, or get past the divisional round, we're going to make a coaching change, and you'll probably be that guy. That's my conspiracy theory about why Dan Quinn has decided, you know what, I'll stay there because I got a win-win. If we do go to make a Super Bowl run, who's going to be the biggest reason why we make the Super Bowl run? Dan freaking Quinn.
Exactly.
And if they don't make a Super Bowl run, well, they'll fire Mike McCarthy pretty soon, and Dan Quinn will be the guy. He's their in-house coach in waiting. That's my conspiracy theory. Could be wrong. I'm going to believe it either way. I don't give a damn if I got facts or not.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you this, with everything else, even if you had to pay Dan Quinn $4 million more a year,
oh yeah,
the money it will save you in the contract negotiations with Micah Parsons is probably worth it.
That's brilliant.
And I'm going to give it to you even deeper than that.
Oh, I love that, actually.
A lot of those guys that we were talking about yesterday that may be gone now may renegotiate to come back because of Dan Quinn. I might take less money to stay with Dan Quinn and this defense.
That's a great point because they thrived in it.
Because
Donovan Wilson.
People have had their best years.
Jerry Curse did it last year.
Exactly.
He was like, no, I'm coming back to play for Dan Quinn.
100%.
It's a great point.
So now all these other guys, thank you. And he saw it. And he's another guy that's sitting there looking, okay, I've had injuries. There's probably not a market for me. But now being here, it makes me feel better to say I will come back and take less money than what I would on the open market. Not saying anybody's going to jump at him because you know as well as I do. We all do our homework. Mm-hmm. We look and we're like, he's had multiple injuries. He's been out some time. But he also can come to the table and say, my numbers were better when the defense's numbers were better.
Oh, no question.
And now that he's coming back, I'll take a little bit less money because I'm going to look out for my guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a defense that led the NFL in takeaways in back-to-back years. First time that's happened for a defense in the NFL since the Steel Curtain.
Right, right.
So that is really impressive.
And they don't have no nickname.
And exactly. Well, maybe that's what Dan Quinn came back. Maybe they're going to get a nickname, earn a nickname for the third year. But I like Patrick's point about the Micah Parsons situation. He's going to be the highest-paid defensive player in the history of the NFL. We all agree with that.
Agreed.
So, yeah, you don't want a contentious negotiation, and he loves him some Dan Quinn. He's been very open about that. And to that point, to expand upon it a little bit more, I've been big about how, and I was talking about this when the 49ers played the Cowboys, how the Cowboys defense matched up well with the 49ers. And what was the reason I kept saying they match up well with the 49ers? Mm-hmm. Because they're built from the same basic principle. Versatility, positionless football. Dan Quinn started experimenting with it in 2019 with Devondre Campbell when he was with the Atlanta Falcons, and then serendipitously came to the Cowboys and they drafted Micah Parsons, and then he brought in a guy like Jaron Kearse. Remember, he at 2 years ago, actually. 2 years ago, there were other pieces like Keanu Neal he brought in, very versatile players, but that's his. I think he wants to expand upon that. That's why he likes let's see, DB Israel Makuyamu. Mm-hmm. He's a big fan of him.
Big guy, 6'4".
That's why he likes to play all the safeties like Donovan Wilson. He likes Malik Hooker a lot. He likes to play 3 different safeties. He wants to be malleable and multiple, not only in the philosophy and kind of the base ideology, but also he wants to be kind of the positionless version of defense for what you see these days. And I don't think anybody else is as far ahead of him in that search and in that path than Dan Quinn is. Now, he's only been there for 2 years, but I think he wants to build on this draft is going to be really intriguing for me to see if that is indeed the track that Dan Quinn wants to go on. There are a lot of clues that point to it, but I think it'll be really obvious because no doubt this draft will have his fingerprints all over it.
Oh, no doubt about it. And especially for the voids that are going to need to be filled, this is important all the way around. But I think more importantly, it gives us stability. Mm-hmm. You know, it gives us the thought process because what did I say? Who's going to be the replacement? Who is going to be the person that you're going to go get if Dan Quinn decides to walk that can come back and bring that exact type of defense to the table?
Yeah, right.
Because it's going to be tough because everybody doesn't believe in the same philosophy as others. And so you're going to have to really fill that void. And what ended up happening was the void was filled by, guess what? Dan Quinn coming back, baby. Now you can just fill it up, figure it out. Now, the question that I have for all of you is, does that mean that they're going to bring back Kellen Moore?
Yeah, that's the other report here, and it's coming out of Dallas as well. It basically, Mike McCarthy won't guarantee Kellen Moore's return. He has been asked about it during a news conference today. He said he's going to meet with Kellen Moore as soon as Friday. And when he was asked about it, he did not give a guarantee. He said, quote, "I really don't want to play this game today. It's been a long couple of days. Kellen Moore, just like the rest of the coaches, will be evaluated. Every coach will be evaluated. The evaluations, it takes more than 1 day." So
really,
he says, "I feel good about."
Really?
Yeah, he won't. Essentially, he will not guarantee it. So that doesn't mean he's gone. But like I said, doesn't mean he's coming back either. I'll say this. I believe if Kellen Moore is indeed gone, I believe Jerry Jones has probably, getting back to my conspiracy theory out in the grassy knoll, he's challenged Mike McCarthy and said, "Listen, man, I'm paying you a lot of money. You're the offensive mind. You're supposed to be the offensive guru and the quarterback guy. I might need you to go take over, be more hands-on with Dak. I might need you to take over some of this. And yeah, you can hire the people you want to hire, but maybe you need to be the offensive mind here. Maybe it needs to be you instead of Kellen Moore's offense. It was Kellen Moore's offense before you got here. We kept Kellen Moore around. It was still his offense. You just put your spin on it. Maybe now it should be your offense, Mike McCarthy." The fear is, I hope he's got an offense that's tailored around Dak, but I think that maybe has been the challenge and the gauntlet laid down.
Well, I don't disagree with you when you sit back and you look at how everything has kind of played out. Especially now, we just got this news. Kellen Moore had interviewed for the Carolina Panthers job, and Frank Reich got named today. And so now you're sitting there, everybody's up for an evaluation, everybody's dealing with these kind of things. But I sit here now, and this goes back to something that we've been talking about for the last week. Since that game on Sunday night, have they reached their ceiling as a couple? Sometimes as a couple, you reach your ceiling. This is the max that we can do. We're not going to get any better. We're not going to get any worse. But we have to figure out a way to make adjustments. And the adjustments that we're making aren't happening right now. So this is the long, hard conversation. The thing that's curious to me is him saying these evaluations take 2 days. Do they really? You've been evaluating them for a couple years now. You've been here for 2 years. You've been evaluating what's been happening with this team for quite some time.
Very true.
How have you what have you seen changed, and what have you seen get better? What have you seen get worse? I need to know a little bit more about it. So right now, I would lean he may be gone. But it also goes back to what we talked about too. Maybe the relationship is what it is. Hey man, it's time for me to move around. I got to go try to find another gig because there's some other jobs that are out there. Let me go get another one and move on from this one.
And Harge, remember, he's been evaluating Kellen Moore because he watched every single snap of the Cowboys before he became head coach.
That's a low blow, Patrick. That was unnecessary. Cowboys fans are trying to celebrate Dan Quinn coming back and Kellen Moore leaving, and then you take that unnecessary shot.
I will take No Lies Told for 200. I will take No Lies Told for 200.
But getting back to it though, I do think it's good. Actually, and I'll say this, I like Kellen Moore. I've always said that. And listen, you guys have had a top 5 offense basically every year that Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott have been together when Dak Prescott's been healthy. But I'll admit, in terms of the matchups against elite teams when it counts in the playoffs, this past playoffs performance was a disappointment, and you got to figure out how to maximize Dak Prescott's ability, and you need to bring in somebody who can do that. And I don't know if Kellen Moore can do that. Doesn't mean Kellen Moore's a bad offensive coordinator, but to maximize Dak Prescott's ability right now, it is very possible. Yes, that basically as a group, offensive coordinator, play caller, and quarterback, that combination, they've hit their ceiling together. I think for Kellen Moore, it'd be really good for him because his reputation right now has been tied to Dak.
Yep.
It's just tied to, and Dak's, did subpar performance this year, and his regression has also caused the value of Kellen Moore as a coordinator and as an offensive mind to also decrease. His value has dropped off a map. Right now he's only getting one head coaching interview, and I don't even know if he was a finalist there. So I think for him, he needs to go somewhere else and almost drum up some more momentum about his brand.
Yep.
And we know the best way to do that in today's day and age is go somewhere and revitalize and resuscitate a quarterback's career. That's what you need to do. That's what Brian Daboll did. That's how you get it. That's what Sean McVay did. And that's why I think the opposite is happening for him. When Dak Prescott was balling out of control, his stock was really high because he was tied to Dak Prescott's productivity. Now that Dak Prescott has regressed a little bit, he is now, his value has also taken a hit as a result.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The value has kind of gone down because of the relationship and the way that my man Dak Prescott has performed over the past season. But let's not forget, too, I don't want to hold this against him that much. Dak, 1 year, had a broken leg, but we also saw him go out and really try to help Andy Dalton as the backup quarterback. We also saw him call great games with Cooper Rush as the quarterback. So we can also we give him a little bit of praise. But when Dak became back as the quarterback, he tried to be aggressive. He tried to be fancy. And again, I don't know if I can put all of that on him strictly because of the fact that we heard the stories. We don't know how much is true or how much is false, that Dak would check out of plays. So that way, now you're going to know exactly what if you let him walk, you're going to actually know what you let walk and what you kept, because if Dak goes out there and underperforms even more so with a new play caller, now what is going to be the excuse for Dak Prescott? So you might be out there saying, to Patrick's point with the salary cap and what we were doing before, you may end up saying, okay, well, Dak is not our guy. So maybe it wasn't Kellen Moore. Maybe it was more of Dak failing at what was going on. Now we can move on from him as well through that salary cap.
But that's the thing, too, is if he's checking out of all these plays and that's not being addressed, that's a problem, and I'm calling that's a coaching mistake.
Mike McCarthy.
And you can put on Mike, you can put on Kellen Moore. But Kellen Moore, if that's your boy and that's your best friend and you guys are buddy-buddy, you need to be able to sit in the locker room and go, hey, man, Dak, why did you check out of 53% of my plays?
Yep.
You need to tell me why. And if you do it again next week, then we're going to have problems. Yep. You can't keep checking out because watch the film. Now, if I called, tell me how mine would have worked better. No. And so if that's the case, it's still the coach's fault that you let this go on for an entire season or 2 seasons or whatever it's been going on, because you're still in charge.
Yep.
And totally I get you can't really bench Dak Prescott.
Nope.
But at the same part, you can basically take away his audible power and tell the rest of the team, hey, man, when he calls for a change, don't move. You're running the play we called.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I heard Nate Newton talk about that Dak changed a lot of plays. I would love to know what percentage plays he changes at the line of scrimmage and how successful those plays are compared to others. We don't have those types of numbers, but it is clear the Cowboys, if you're a Cowboys fan, you got to like this, that the Cowboys are not only frustrated currently, but they are not going to rest. That they're going to make some moves, and you got to like that as a Cowboys fan, man. They're deciding that it's about action, that they need to make moves, they need to do them now. Will they work? I'm not sure, but Dan Quinn staying is a huge part of it. And there's another quote that we got to get into just really quickly before we get into Hard Knock Life from Jerry Jones about his relationship with Dan Quinn. No, sorry, with Mike McCarthy, I should say, because Mike McCarthy, everybody's wondering about his job security. Jerry Jones basically has said that, this comes from Michael Gelkin, that Mike McCarthy basically told him he wants him to be the coach there as long as Tom Landry did. He was going to be the coach there as long as Tom Landry was the coach, which was it?
29 years.
30 years, yeah.
29 years. I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
Hey, man, it's Jerry Jones, though.
Mike McCarthy is old. He ain't going to be there that long.
Hey, that'd be great if he's anywhere in the Tom Landry conversation.
That means you're winning.
That's amen. So that's a good thing for Cowboys fans.
I don't know about that.
Say, hey, man, we want Sark to be the coach for as long as Mac Brown did. You know why? Because then we got a ring. We got another title. We're doing good. That's all it means.
That's all it means.
All it means is Jerry's telling me, I want you to be very successful because I don't want to have to fire you. But I will.
Yeah, no, I'm with
used
you
to that.
So there's a lot of the news out there, especially with the coaching carousel, Cowboys-related news. We'll get back to it. What you got coming up for Hard Knock Life? I'm
going to talk a little bit of basketball, and it's the NBA level because something is happening that we have not addressed yet, and I just want to bring it up and leave it as an open book test.
Oh, I like this. Yeah. All right, we'll get into that little NBA discussion for Hard Knock Life right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? This is your lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Everybody knows that my favorite new tequila is Hot Cat Tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and that's exactly what it's made of. Just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light and so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It turns any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Once you try Hot Cat, you won't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you order rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. No watch party is complete without Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for the big game or concerts, festivals, or a night on the town with family and friends. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila, or visit cattequila.com to find a store near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up this new year with Hot Cat Tequila.
Welcome back to a more specific themed Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And you can follow the man behind the glass that's in charge of all of our themes at It's Patrick Davis. We love it when you're part of the show. You can hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And I wanted to talk about this a while back, but as the days have gone on, you continue to see certain things that have transpired. And I know I'm going to transition to basketball just a little bit, but one of the biggest stories that I've seen, and a lot of people aren't really talking about it. We talk about it amongst ourselves in here, but we haven't really brought it to the airways. But the story came out the other day, January 24th, that LeBron James, who is still playing at a very, very high level, and when I break this down, you'll understand what I'm talking about, but LeBron James the other day became the only player to score 40 points against every single franchise that he has played against. There are, I believe, 30 NBA teams, and he has scored 40 points or more against every single franchise in the NBA. That
Crazy.
To me is astounding.
Yes.
As an athlete, Rod, you know, you played against multiple teams, and you may have a good game against one, but that you play against a certain team, you don't play that well against them. And not only that, for him to be doing it at the age that he is unbelievable. We give Tom Brady praise about what he's been able to do with the championships and all that, going against these teams. But LeBron is playing basketball. I mean, now they're giving people load management, but I'm still confused about that. You don't play every single day. It's like baseball. Yeah. Cal Ripken played for a very long time without taking a day off.
Old school.
So,
baby.
you know, the OG was out there. But LeBron he had his birthday December 30th. In 10 games since his birthday, he has averaged 38.5 points, 35.5 points per game, 9 rebounds and 7.9 assists. At 37, he had 30 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When he turned 36, he had 24.6 points per game. He averaged that, 8.5 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. When he turned 35, he had 25 points, 25.2, 7.9 rebounds, and 10.7 assists. As he's getting older, it seems like he's getting better.
Yep.
And at the very beginning of his career, and Patrick, you can speak to this a little bit too, he wasn't a great three-point shooter. Now it seems like that's the only thing he's taking. It seems like he's shooting more three-pointers than he ever has. And to me, it goes back to my man Rob Babers. He's like, man, he's got X-Man qualities, because it seems as he gets older, he continues to get better. In 2013, he was the MVP of the NBA. He was 28 years old. He averaged 26.8 points per game. He averaged 8 rebounds per game. He averaged 7.3 assists a game, and he shot 56.5% from the field. This season, at 38 years old, as of January 23rd, at 38 years old, he averaged 29.8 points per game. He's got 8.5 rebounds per game. He's got 6.9 assists per game. And he's shooting 50% from the field.
It's crazy.
That is a decade. Since his MVP in 2013. Have y'all seen anything like this? Because everybody wants to go to Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan obviously is one of the best, if not the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth. And I know everybody wants to fight about this. I'm not fighting about it. That's a wasted energy for me. But when you see him and what he's been able to do at this point in his career, and he spends, $1 million a year on his body with the training and the food and the nutrition and everything that he's doing, who is the last person that you can honestly say that has played this position like him at this age?
I got it. Maybe Kareem. How old was Kareem?
And by the way, he's 100. He's 148 points away from passing Kareem to be the all-time leading scorer.
I don't know how old Kareem was when he retired.
No,
so
but Kareem also he comes into a league where he is physically dominating, and LeBron is physically dominating. Of that, he's just always been built super strong.
Yeah.
So he's been able to play post up and do whatever else he can do. But Kareem, could shoot over guys even when he got older. Now, it is impressive he can run up and down a court.
Up and down the court.
As you get older. Like just the beating that goes onto your knees and your hips and your ankles and everything. It's hard to do for a long time at a high level.
Kareem at 38, I think he did have he averaged 23 points at 38. But then after that, he fell off a cliff. Well, I mean, fell off a cliff. 17, averaging like 17 and 14. Fell off a cliff. That's all right.
Exactly. Get him out of there.
I apologize for the disrespect to Kareem, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I can't think of it. Patrick probably would know better than us because he watches a lot more NBA and probably more of an NBA historian. But guys just don't play at that type of level, that high level when you're 38. You can't.
Well, no, and I mean, normally, like even if you're great, you do have that point where it starts to fade and you don't adjust your game. Like you said earlier, he shoots more threes now than he did. He's had to continue to adjust his game so that he stays relevant and can put up numbers and do things. Now, you can argue all you want about that he may not be caring as much about winning as he used to, which I think he still cares. It's just he understands that what he'd have to give up to win, and he may not necessarily want to give all that stuff up anymore.
Exactly. Right.
He's got his rings, and he says, you know what? I don't want to take a massive pay cut to maybe win and give some of these other people that I don't think deserve as much more. And really, I'm just helping out a franchise who's too cheap to do some things.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to me because I understand the hate. Everybody wants to hate on somebody. Everybody wants to beat up LeBron because of whatever reason. But when you look at what happens on the basketball court, to me, he seems to be one of the most he's unselfish. He's not a selfish basketball player. He looks to pass the ball before he takes the shot, and that's why he's been criticized a lot of times. And the frustrating part for me is you can still love Michael Jordan and still respect LeBron because of his game, but it's like anything else. It's like you don't care one way or the other, so you want to hate on one person as opposed to liking them both. It's okay to like two people.
Yeah.
It's okay to be loyal to two people. I grew up, my first pair of basketball shoes I bought with my money were Jordans, but I also own a pair of LeBrons. I'm not upset with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy to me because of the animosity is like, I don't want to give that person too much love because I'm a Jordan guy. I hate LeBron. I was like, why?
No, and I
why
know this.
Do you hate him?
This sounds crazy, and basketball is probably one of the worst sports in it. You can like different generations of basketball and not compare them because they're very different.
Exactly.
Like I can go watch old Celtic stuff with Bill Russell, and you find old little clips of it of Bill Russell playing, and you're like, that's amazing. You'd never work in today's game. But it was amazing to watch what he could do. And then you can go watch just beat 'em up basketball of guys that could not do anything in today's game because the game would blow past them because they're just bigger guys that played physical in there, and watch them go, man, look at that. That's what that style of the game was then. And then watch today and watch really great players do amazing things, makes insane passes. The fact that they can shoot threes, I think they need to adjust the three-point line or make adjustments in there because it is just getting too easy and you just kind of have to shake the game up at points. But you don't have to hate something just because, like, no, I grew up, I'm nostalgic, so I love this type of basketball, and everything else is terrible. It's like, well, you don't really love basketball then.
Right.
Because, man, if you play pickup ball, you know it varies completely differently all the time now.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah.
You watch college basketball, if you go conference to conference, you can see different styles, differently reffed ways. It can go very different depending, and especially once you start to get out of the Power 5.
Yep.
There's games where these guys are insanely fast and everything goes
so quick. Yeah.
But they're calling a lot of stuff. And then you watch another one and they'll just have big guys that can't really move that much, but every team has a 7-footer that's not very agile, and they just get in the post and just beat each other up. And there's conferences like that when you go down lower, it all still exists out there, but you can enjoy everything. You don't have to hate.
Yeah, no,
I know people like to. You don't have to.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's a lot of it's people like to hate. They like the angst. It actually drives some people, especially in the sports world. We know that. That's why sports debates are usually kind of built around that model. Right. I mean, look at I'm not even gonna name the show, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But to your point though, I agree with you, man. It's that debate about LeBron and MJ. It is the Ouroboros, I believe is what it's called, the snake eating its own tail. It's just like never ending. We will continue to have the MJ LeBron debate forever. And I'm with you. In the end, I think it's like, to me, it's Tupac and Biggie.
Right.
That's where I am with it now. If I asked you who's your favorite, Tupac or Biggie, you say Biggie, I go, all right, respect.
Yeah.
Biggie's legit. I'm a Tupac guy, but I respect your choice. It's a preference. And I think at one point we're going to get to LeBron and MJ. It's just a preference.
Right.
You're an MJ guy? Cool. I'm a LeBron guy.
Yeah, I'm a LeBron guy.
I'm a Tupac guy. You're a Biggie guy?
I'm a Biggie,
yeah. Right?
And I mean, like in the reality of the game.
I actually like UGK better than all of them.
if you look at the way the game is played today and some of the top stars, if you don't have that first dream team in the Olympics, then basketball doesn't come more of an international sport. You may not have Luka Doncic. You may not have Greek Freak. You may not have Joker. You may not have any of these guys who are MVPs year in and year out. All those guys are going to be there. However, those guys were not growing up when the dream team first came up. So those guys grew up watching LeBron. So you can put it however you want, but the way these guys both made huge, huge impacts in the game. And look, for me, Michael Jordan was the best player to ever do it because he just had a separate edge and a different level. Mm-hmm. LeBron James is 1B. Like, he's also insanely, insanely talented. I don't need to compare him, though. It's different generations, different games. Both of them could play in either one, and there's not a lot of guys who can say that.
I agree.
I'm
at peace with the debate. I'm actually at most
That's
people
why
are not.
Said I'm not finna argue with you.
I don't.
Really
people have been shanked actually.
Exactly.
Been stabbed having the argument over LeBron. I'm not joking, over LeBron and MJ. I'm not that passionate about it.
So
I'm very lucky that I've seen both of them play live multiple times.
Exactly.
That's what I'm very lucky. I'm like, in my lifetime, I got to see both these guys.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
It's like seeing Biggie and Tupac in concert.
Here's one of the biggest. Here's where people always go to. At least some of the people that I know from the barbershop that kick it. They always go, I ain't never seen nobody get stabbed for no LeBrons. ain't nobody ever robbed nobody for LeBron.
True. And that's why your boy didn't. I didn't own a pair of J's. I got to the league.
No, you got them Akeems.
You got
$34 at Payless.
I had them Starberries. I had them Starberries where you can buy it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that what he's doing at this age, regardless of who you root for or who you kick it with, only thing I always look at is give him his flowers now, because everybody else in the league, the people that play, respect his game.
Yeah, I love the stat we gave the other day about he's played against 9 father-son tandems in his life. He's basically played against 9 father-sons.
I played against your daddy on his way out.
Crazy,
and I play against you on your way up.
I did your daddy dirty.
Yeah, and I'm about to do you dirty.
Same move. Same move I got on your daddy.
You're
your daddy, man.
You must not have been watching them games I was playing against your daddy.
Man, you can see when Michael Jordan started, he had short shorts. He went to long pants. When LeBron started, he had long pants and gone back to short. They both played so long they could have 2 styles of shorts.
And not only that, it always go back. It's the circle of life.
Yeah,
exactly.
You come in wearing a diaper and you leave wearing a diaper.
Yeah,
it's the circle of life.
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, it's a preference thing, man. I can make the case. You can make the case for LeBron. You can make the case for MJ if you want to. I still think MJ is the GOAT, but I don't think LeBron is done. LeBron's doing more stuff to add to his resume, and when he ends up playing with his own son or against his own damn son, that's gonna be another random nugget you add to the resume. Like, who the hell's ever done that?
Oh, by the way,
he's played also with or against their own damn son.
He's also a billionaire like Mike.
And he's also already a billionaire.
Yeah.
That was quick, fast. I do blame
while he's playing. Mike wasn't a billionaire while he was playing.
Nah, that's crazy. That's wild. You're
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
It's a great
Like,
price. Hell of an
dude,
accomplishment.
That's what, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with that. All right, good stuff there for Hard Knock Life. LeBron appreciation moment for everybody. All right, we come back. We got off the record. This will be a kind of a Craig Way appreciation moment, and this is the greatest moment in the history of Uber Eats, potentially.
Love
All
it.
of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn, right? Rod Babers here. It is a brand new year. Time for a brand new you, and that may mean a brand new automobile. That's right, folks, and that's why you need to head on over to Apple Leasing, or just reach out to Apple Leasing. My friends at Apple Leasing, they're in the business of saving you time and money. They know time is money, and they're going to save you both. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want, and all it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing's simple interest, easy lease makes life a whole lot simpler because it gives you a lot more flexibility, which is going to give you a lot more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is out of control. It's through the roof. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, or buy anything for that matter. So leasing actually makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So leasing actually makes more sense now than ever. So give them a call today at 512-346-9977 and let them see how much money they can save you, because that's their business. They get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do. And some of my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. All right, welcome back to another edition of Off the Record right here on Ball Don't Lie. All right, we got a couple of pieces of audio that we got to get to, and they're self-explanatory, so I don't have to break them down too much. But just to give you the backstory here, so apparently at a game, the college basketball game between Duquesne and Loyola, Loyola Chicago. This was earlier this week. This was in Pittsburgh at UPMC Cooper Fieldhouse. And they're not sure if this was a joke or if this was just somebody who totally was just being, I don't know, just being disrespectful, or someone who was just unaware of the proceedings and everything happening. But a Uber Eats driver, a delivery driver, apparently wandered into the facility there and then tried to deliver to whoever ordered the food. I think it was McDonald's, actually, they had ordered. And then end up wandering near the court, or even onto the court. There was actually a really cool play-by-play breakdown and analysis from the play-by-play guys when they saw this Uber Eats driver on the floor. Here it is.
We'll let it go into the bench, and Loyola would take over 10 minutes before we get a stoppage. And we've got an official's timeout. Somebody came on the floor on the far side. Looking for an Uber Eats delivery or something there. He's carrying some McDonald's.
Oh, this has to be one of the all-time greats.
I'm actually not kidding.
This is the truth.
I think that's what's happening.
This guy's in the corner. Looked like was he going to deliver the McDonald's to somebody on the court? Can we rule that out? I mean,
I think that's an Uber Eats sticker. Is that what that is? I'm trying to get confirmation. Uber Eats, yes.
Maybe I'll put my hand up. I'm getting a little hungry. You can bring it over here.
So we saw the stoppage. The man was Usher. Let's see if we can see this. No, this is going to be the turnover in the
corner. There he is, right there in the corner. Yay.
So this guy's actually, who's he delivering it to?
The ref. The ref said later. Give it to me later, not now.
Philip Alston's done a lot. I didn't think he needed a Big Mac for sustenance in the middle of the game.
I know, but I'm not. Well, the official out there, Tim, he distanced him like, I didn't say now. Later. That's got to be unbelievable. That's got to be something that the highlight shows are going to have a blast with.
All right, there's a belief that, there could have been a prank of some kind, or some YouTube social media star or whatever might have staged some type of prank too. That's the suspicion right now. They have not confirmed that. Either way, no, the game actually was happening. Them interfering in the game, that part might have been something that was diabolically planned behind the scenes by some prankster. But we don't really know it right now. But yeah, if you Uber Eats, you got to love this. I mean, this is one of the greatest commercials that you could ever have for Uber Eats. Randomly.
It's a lot of free advertising. And then also it's like, man, do you have the dumbest drivers in the
Yeah, and I'm mad. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know I don't order a lot of a ton of food delivery, but I imagine you give them special instructions there.
Special instructions, which are, hey man, you might want to stay off the court.
Exactly.
I would if I was a driver, and the special instructions were section 104. See, I'm like, no, turn this order down.
It's crazy that he got into the arena. He just let you into the arena. He didn't have a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, did that dude
right?
Like, hey, man, I will tell you this. If you confidently walk most places, now I don't think it works at the Moody, because Moody is pretty high security. They got good people working there. I know certain festivals and other places that if you just walk in and you have stuff with you, like you look like you're working, you're like, I guess he's working.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop. Like, I'm not going to stop. Like, for years, you wanted to get into a club or whatever when I was underage, I just carried a guitar and looked angry. And then people be like, I guess he's working.
That's true. Good point. Like George Costanza. People think you're busy. You
exactly.
Look busy.
And you just walk in. I just walk in, and they'd be like, we don't have to card this kid.
I see the text was saying it was a prank and it was a social media stunt. That is the belief. But something that did happen, and I heard a texter here saying, I'd love to hear Craig Way giving his own play-by-play of it. I'm glad that you requested this, texter, because there was an unfortunate, and now we know nobody was seriously hurt, so we can now replay this and actually relive the moment of Craig Way giving play-by-play of an incident that was not staged. It was not a prank. It was the legendary, iconic call of the runaway golf cart. Here's Craig Way.
We've had a disturbance down on the field where during the celebration, apparently one of the carts on the field apparently got loose, and there have been some folks, I think, injured in this, and you'll see.
Oh, my.
And that's like a runaway cart there, and it finally took someone to stop it. And folks injured there, and you hope it's not serious, but that's a scary thing there with that cart racing through and knocking some folks down, and again, some people down on the field and representatives of the UIL staff, I think, okay, but well, that's a scary thing to have happen there, as that cart just got loose. You have another individual down on the field as well. And well, you hope that that's not serious, but that is frightening. Something happened where that cart got loose. It's one of those deals in the electric car where the throttle pedal, I guess, sticks, and difficult for someone to get the brakes stopped on that.
Craig Way, a consummate professional, a runaway golf cart in the middle of his broadcast and call of after the state title game. He's just doing post game wrap up analysis and still gives you the play by play of the actual runaway golf cart. Amen. That's just a professional right there. He didn't panic. There was no panic in his voice.
No panic.
He was
No
calm.
throwing the brake.
No, he gave you. I got the visual in my head. I didn't even need to watch it. I got the perfect visual of what happened. Victor says that was Danny Amendola's dad that got run over by the cart. Yeah, very sad too. I'm glad he was okay. That's the only reason we can talk. We can play it because he's okay. It's like when you ever watch those shows with those they have those like the crashes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You always assume those people live, right?
No, I don't. But I assume
they play some where people just die.
Yeah, I assume that people they say they live.
When he has like the wreck and he rolls over like 14 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm assuming he lived. I wouldn't want to
assuming,
watch
but
it.
I mean, maybe it's just a head in a jar now. I don't know.
That's very true. Very good point. But there you go. Kudos to Craig Way because he's the man. I always look for any excuse to play that video, play that audio of Craig Way just to give him props because what don't you love about Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns? All right, we come back. We'll give you all the breaking news because there's tons of it. Cowboys related, NFL related news. We'll get to all of it and more coming up right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harch here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Allstat Beer. Allstat is born in Fredericksburg, Texas, right in the heart of the Texas Hill Country. They have a beautiful state-of-the-art brewery. The brewery prides itself on their award-winning German-style beers. The Great American Beer Festival just awarded Allstat Lager, a gold for the second time. This is amazing to me. They also have an amazing fine dining restaurant and a tap room where you could try multiple flavors there. Plan a tour today and see it for yourself. Great beer with great food, and of course, enjoy it with some great friends. On the weekend, the brewery also have live music. So plan a trip today. Go to allstatbeer.com, find a local watering hole where you can enjoy some or where you can pick some up on your way home. Make Allstat your beer of choice. Allstat beer is made with 100% German ingredients. That means 100% German hops, malts, and yeast. And, of course, they have that natural Hill Country water. Allstat beer, no impurities, no regrets.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. New theme Thursday edition of Ball Don't Lie based on the selections by my man Patrick, the Idealionaire. Harge and I are supposed to gather clues and hints that lead us to the feature of the new theme of the day. And today, we didn't quite get it. We were close, but didn't quite get it. The new theme of today is multiple winners of the Royal Rumble. Correct?
Yes, multiple time winners of the Royal Rumble.
Multiple time winners of the Royal Rumble, which was very specific. So I think we were hovering around it. I think as close as I got was it is a Royal Rumble winners. I think as close as I got to it, but it was multiple time Royal Rumble winners. So I like that. All right, thanks to my man Patrick. We got a new theme for the day. You can always be a part of the show. Hit us up 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. My man Harge at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, we got a lot of headlines to hit, and we don't have a ton of time to do it. The Astros, go Stros! Astros have a new GM. Threw that out there earlier. Dana Brown is the new GM. He was most recently with the Braves as their VP of scouting. Before that, with the Blue Jays as the special assistant to the GM. And then prior to that, in the early 2000s, he was with the Expos and the Nationals as their director of scouting. Actually was teammates in college at Seton Hall with Craig Biggio. So he is a well-respected talent man, and he is been described as been a home run hire for the Astros. He's talking about a 2-month search by Jim Crane and trying to figure out exactly who would be the right guy for the job. Dana Brown is that guy, and I haven't seen any baseball insiders, Patrick, that have criticized the hire or even been negative in the slightest about it. Everybody's been overwhelmingly positive and overwhelmingly complimentary of the hire.
No, and I mean, if you look at the Blue Jays and, that young core that they built up with Gurriel and Biggio and they brought in the other Gurriel, and then Bichette. They got a lot of young guys that they drafted extremely well for several years, brought in a lot of young guys into their farm system. So I think that there's a lot that you can go with on that. And then you go at the Braves, and that team was mostly homegrown when we played them, and they beat us in the World Series. The Astros
great point.
did.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So Astros fans really excited about it. So that was one of the breaking stories. That was right before the show. And during the show, we've had several stories that have kind of hit the headlines. And good news for Cowboys fans. Oh, by the way, Patrick, Nate says, Petty, Patrick, about your specific
My
theme.
specific theme?
And a blind Longhorn fan said, I got it right. And so did CB. So he got it right, too. So
there was several people who got it. Once we started to narrow it down, there were several people who got it.
I can see CB getting it because he's a wrestling freak like I used to be. But and Harge impressed me with his wrestling knowledge.
Yeah.
There are a lot more wrestling fans at this station than you would think.
Because it's the thing I always say about wrestling is every other game you don't know if it's going to be good. You don't know if it's going to go the way you want. Wrestling, it's predetermined. So they're putting on a show. You know what it's going to be, but it still has that part of it where it can be entertaining, like it's a sporting event. You just know, you're like, look, I know when I'm leaving, it's not a 80-20 blowout. They're just wasting my time coming here.
No, I totally got deep into it. Like you said, you played the Hulk Hogan theme song earlier.
Did it make you feel a little bit?
I was a Hulk.
You started to hook up a little bit yourself,
dude. I wrote a letter to Hulk Hogan as a kid when he got injured.
Do you know what the gimmick with that was?
I was sure it was. I was a dumb kid.
No. But the thing was, so Hogan needed to take some time off, but they do this, and then they took all the kids who wrote in. And they took all their addresses, the return addresses, and sent them catalogs because they were like, these are the kids who love wrestling so much that they wrote to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So now we're going to send them a catalog so their parents are going to be like, Mom, can you buy me this?
That's a great point. We did get random stuff from WWF.
Yeah, genius marketing move.
That was genius.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, wrestling's on the cutting edge of a lot of weird marketing stuff.
That was brilliant because I was one of those kids, man. I was a Hulkamaniac. So you played that earlier in the show. So I feel you. I get it. I understand some people are not into it. It's not their thing. But, man, it is one of the most popular forms of entertainment in America and has been forever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a new generation of wrestling fans. It's not old because we don't watch it anymore. I'm sure there are some people who still watch it.
I'll flip in every once in a while and go in.
We don't watch it religiously like that.
I'll still go back and watch old stuff on Peacock, though.
Now, that I'll get into. The old stuff, and then the documentaries about some of the old wrestling days. Yeah. But it's just you're a wrestling fan, so you just love your generation when you were a fan. So I'm stuck in the 15 years when I was a fan. But it just builds a new generation. It's just like the NFL.
Yeah. Well, when it was designed and aimed at me, when I was a target audience for it, I loved it. Now that I'm not the target audience, I enjoy it still, but it's not meant for me. Like, they're not targeting me anymore.
Exactly.
So I'm like, cool, enjoy it. I will say, if anybody's got free tickets, got a suite up there, let me know. I'll drive down San Antonio on Saturday.
Will they have a wrestling events in the mood?
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just like, because they haven't had any wrestling event in there.
No,
so but
I'm sure they will.
Sure they will, yeah. Because they used to have it in Irwin all the time. My man CB says he stopped watching wrestling in 2013. Yeah, I mean, you just have your era. It's like the Simpsons. Like you had your I used to watch it back then, but now I don't watch it anymore. All right, getting back to the NFL headlines. Don't know how we got sidetracked there. But Cowboys fans, they are really optimistic right now because the latest news from Tom Pelissero and reported by other outlets that Dan Quinn will remain with the Cowboys as the defensive coordinator. That is a bombshell. I did not expect that at all. That took me by surprise. Tom Pelissero said Quinn informed teams that were interested in his services as a head coach that he would be staying with Dallas. So I think there are a few things at play here. This is my conspiracy theory. I'm going to jump out on the grassy knoll here for a second. I got no evidence of this, but it's just me believing stuff that like I said, behind the scenes, I believe may be happening, but probably not. Dan Quinn, I believe, is deciding to take his name out of the head coaching as a candidate for head coaching vacancies because he has been told, like I said, my conspiracy theory, he's been told by Jerry Jones, look, basically you're my head coach in waiting. If we don't get to the Super Bowl in 2 years and we don't get through the divisional round and make progress with Dak Prescott, I'm probably going to move on from Mike McCarthy anyway, and then you're going to be my next head coach in waiting. If we do go to the Super Bowl and say we win the whole damn thing or go to the Super Bowl and just compete for it, still showing progress, your name will be even hotter than it is right now because the biggest reason that we will be able to compete at the championship level will probably be Dan Quinn's defense and what you do with Micah Parsons and that side of the ball. And I think Jerry Jones also will probably give him a raise of some sort. When I look at it, he'll probably end up being the highest paid coordinator, or at least the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league, if not the highest paid coordinator, period. And that's why Dan Quinn decides I win regardless. If we stay here and go all the way to the Super Bowl and I'm the defensive coordinator, I get a lot of love and a lot of value with my brand. But if not, and I stay here and we don't make it to the Super Bowl, Jerry's already told me, man, you're my next head coach in the way. And I ain't in the Sean Payton sweepstakes. You're my guy.
Yeah, and I mean, we
Conspiracy theory.
But we can also sit and say in the Sean Payton sweepstakes that we've heard that he may not even go anywhere because it's not the best market right now for head coaching jobs. In the places that we're looking at him, he may not want to go do the Denver thing. He may say, man, there's stuff there and leadership that I don't necessarily want to walk into. They just fired a one-year head coach. No, I don't want to do the Texans. They fired 2 one-year head coaches. Like, I don't want to go to Indy because I know Irsay is freaking out and he wants everything his way. And maybe I don't want any of these jobs really. And once they hired Carolina, he goes, maybe that's the only job he was really looking at. So he goes, well, they hired the one place that I might want to go, or maybe didn't want to go there.
What about the Texans, Patrick?
They fired 2 one-year head coaches.
Oh,
you may say, I don't want to go there. Plus, I don't even know if he did interview with them. Did he? Was he even on the list?
Did. Yeah, he interviewed him.
Okay, I know he hadn't done a second.
No, not a second. No.
But that's what I'm saying is he may say, you know what, this doesn't seem like I have a good thing going right now. And if you're Jerry Jones, man, not only is he done great, he's saved you so much money in bringing his guys and just playing. And hey, man, we let Randy Gregory go and didn't really miss a step.
No,
so we didn't pay that big salary, and that kind of thing to an owner. Wait, so I can spend all my money on my toys on offense, and I just give you a little. And we're going to pay Micah. We know we're going to have to pay Micah, but we're going to pay him a little bit less because you're the DC. Mm-hmm. So we still going to be the highest paid, but he ain't going to be the highest paid by more.
Yeah, no, you're right about that because, and I'll find the numbers because I have them in my phone because I've kept track of them because they're so absurd. The Cowboys have long been a franchise that's always tried to find And everybody does this, by the way. So we've been critical of the Cowboys, but everybody does it. You find value at different positions. Essentially, I mean, the salary cap is it's a budget, right? It's imagine you going grocery shopping on whatever budget you are that you're on. And, the way teams budget, they allocate, more funds toward premier positions, whatever they mean, quarterback, DN, pass rusher, whatever, wide receiver these days, whatever it may be. And there's certain positions they classify as, those are positions where we can go find value there. We can go find value there. We don't need to spend draft capital or spend a lot of money, salary cap capital, on that position. We believe in our ability to find value. And safety has been that position for the Cowboys forever. And they failed miserably at that philosophy, trying to find value at that specific position. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size, Beyonce size butt is, when Dan Quinn came along, they ended up having the best safety group potentially in the league with 3 different guys, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, and Jaron Kearse. All of them, I'm going to vote all of them, maybe at least 2 of the 3 being revitalization or renovation or resuscitation projects where they had to basically bring back these players. Jaron Kearse was drafted by the Vikings, I believe, and was considered a guy that they had drafted over and was a throwaway. Same thing with a guy like Malik Hooker, drafted in the first round, but they thought, oh, he's a bust, he's done, he can't stay healthy. And you basically reinvigorated those guys' careers and turned them into some of the better safeties in the league. That's the Dan Quinn system, and that's what Patrick's talking about, saving you money, because they couldn't find that value that also ended up being productive on the field with that philosophy about the safety position. But they kept that philosophy, but Dan Quinn has been able to really extract the value from those guys, unlike any other.
No, and I mean, if you look at even using guys that you have where you say, all right, well, we're going to let Randy Gregory go. We need to put Sam Mitchell up or to a better position. All right, well, we did it with that. Hey, Leighton Vander Esch, we're going to, we're keeping him another year on a mercenary deal. All right, we're going to make him into a very valuable piece on our team. Being able to get the most out of guys that other teams may not be willing to spend big money on,
it's big.
Make an owner salivate, because you're just going to keep. Now, you'll every once in a while come up bust on that.
Oh, yeah, everybody will.
Yeah,
but it's just, but more oftentimes than not, you're going to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're talking about, the value that he brings to the table. Here's a stat for you. Since 2002, the Cowboys have only spent 1 pick in the top 125 on any draft on a safety. So since 2002, the Cowboys have only spent 1 pick in the top 125 selections of any draft on a safety. Since 2013, 75% of the NFL teams have picked at least 1 safety in the first or the second round, and the Cowboys have been one of the 8 teams that have not. So they've always said, you know what, we'll find a solution there. We can, we'll find value there. And obviously there are certain things in life you shouldn't skimp on, like don't skimp on toilet paper, don't skimp on condoms, all right? Don't skimp on surgery, all right? I mean, don't try to buy sushi at the gas station. Like certain things don't skimp on. The Cowboys believe you can skimp on safety.
Yeah.
And honestly, they've failed miserably with that philosophy until Dan Quinn came along. And now, dude, those value acquisitions at safety, Malik Hooker and Jaron Kearse, have been magnificent. And you've maximized one of your draft picks in Donovan Wilson. He's playing like one of the best safeties in the league now.
Yeah.
That's been great, man.
No, I think there's a lot to it. We do need to get them a nickname. It's now that Dan Quinn's staying another year, we need to try and find a nickname. Now, it's harder because, like, the Legion of Boom had a core group of guys.
They did.
And this defense doesn't really feel like it has a core group.
You have Micah and Trayvon Diggs, and I think the safety, Jaron Kearse, should be a part of that core.
Are we putting DeMarcus Lawrence in there?
Yes, of course. Yes, exactly. Those are core. There's your 4. 4 is a core.
Okay.
4 is a core. All right.
So we got to get a nickname for that so we can, now that he's coming back another year.
And if they do, because the last 2 years they've led the NFL in takeaways, first team to do it since the Steel Curtain, speaking of great nicknames.
Yeah.
So they come back next year and like lead the NFL in takeaways again or something, then at least you have a theme to base the nickname around. because they like to take stuff away, like steal stuff, force turnovers, whatever that may be. Something clever. You're an idealionaire. You'll come up with something good.
I'll work on it.
You'll come up with something real good. But yeah, I mean, great news for the Cowboys. I'm happy for Cowboys fans. One less thing to worry about. And so this may actually make Cowboys fans happy too. So it's been reported today that Mike McCarthy spoke to the media, and he was asked several times to guarantee Kellen Moore's return for next season. He will not. He will not. He said every coach gets evaluated. He's evaluating Kellen Moore tomorrow, I believe. He said as late as tomorrow. So it maybe be today as well. But he's evaluating all the coaches, but would not guarantee his return. That, to me, signals maybe Jerry Jones drew a line in the sand with Mike McCarthy and said, all right, our quarterback, our franchise quarterback, the face of this damn team has regressed. You're the offensive guy. You're the quarterback guru. You're the one that's from the Bill Walsh coaching tree. Fix it. You fix it. We've been running Kellen Moore's offense. I want your offense. Now, you can hire who you want to hire, but I need you to be more hands-on with his offense and more hands-on with the quarterback. And that way, if he regresses again or the offense regresses, I know who to fire.
Yep.
And Dan Quinn, come on in.
Yeah, I mean, because if Jerry Jones is meeting with both of them and they both walk in and go, it's the other guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, well, I know one way to figure this out.
I think that if Kellen Moore's out, that's why. Because Kellen Moore hasn't been terrible, and we know Jerry Jones loves him from Kellen Moore. But even I, a Kellen Moore fan, will admit, yeah, in Dak's best interest, and honestly in Kellen Moore's best interest, it might be best that they separate and go elsewhere, explore their own path.
Since we've been talking about wrestling, I'll tell you, this is the old wrestling analogy. When back in the territory days, when a guy would be really good, he'd make a lot of money for a territory, but after a while, people stopped cheering for him as much. He couldn't draw as many people. He would have to go to another territory. And they're like, look, man, this isn't us telling you to like goodbye or anything. You need to go learn a new hold.
Yeah.
You need to go learn something new. So when you come back, Kellen Moore needs to go learn a new hold.
Yeah, that's a great, totally agree. It's a great way of putting it. And then oftentimes when wrestlers get a new hold, they get a new identity.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, I gotta change it up, man. They reinvent themselves around that new.
And that's what you say now in today's era. That's like, hey man, a guy, it's taken off TV for a little bit. When he comes back, he's got a different outfit on, and he has a different finishing move. So it's just going away and learning a new hold. And I think for Kellen Moore, he needs to go to a different team, different coach, different things, learn a new hold.
That's well done. That's what to bring it full circle with the new theme Thursday and everything, the wrestling connection. I love it. That is fantastic. You're getting some suggestions, Patrick, for your nickname for the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll go through some of those a little bit too. But with the Cowboys, also, just as we're talking about the coaching moves, the Cowboys made some other assistant coaching moves as well. Linebackers coach George Edwards is out. And I believe these guys weren't officially fired. I believe they just had contracts that weren't renewed or extended. So technically you're fired. I mean, that's a nice way of saying you're fired. But,
yeah.
We're not going to renew your contract. But
you no longer work here.
Yeah. So I guess, whatever you want to call it. But George Edwards, linebackers coach, assistant D-line coach Leon Lett, running backs coach Skip Peete, O-line coach Joe Philbin, quarterback coach Duck Nussmeier, and the quality control analytics coach Kyle Valero, and assistant head coach Rob Davis. I mean, that's a lot of coaches out, and they may not be done. They may not be done. And someone says, if Kellen Moore is moved back to Oxford, Mississippi, if Kellen Moore is really the problem, the Cowboys would have sucked when Cooper Rush was playing quarterback. If they get rid of Kellen Moore, they're getting rid of the wrong guy. That is very possible. And I think we all agree with that. That's a sound point and very astute point. But what I will, I'm just kind of devil's advocate. They can't get rid of Dak.
Yeah, 2 more years.
Now they could, but it's blowing everything up. Like you're basically gonna blow up the entire organization for and really an unspecified amount of time.
You're talking if you got rid of him right now, it's 2 number 1 wide receivers and a starting running back worth of value that you are basically taking away into cap space.
Yeah. So I'm
and you got to hire a new quarterback,
exactly,
which is going to cost you at least as much as you're paying Dak.
Yep.
So now you're looking at, or you draft somebody and you put in a rookie, which is not usually a good plan either.
Yeah, and so what we know about Dak is that he can perform at a high level. We've seen it. We've just seen regression this year, and the belief is that he's hit a ceiling. So since you can't get rid of the quarterback, or at least it'd be very self-destructive to do it, instead of doing that, they're deciding, all right, we've seen quarterbacks around the league have, this really resurgence, if you will, in their careers, right? They've been able to resuscitate their careers, whether it's a Geno Smith, or whether you're talking about a Jared Goff, or whether you're talking about a Daniel Jones. I mean, there are numerous examples, and most of those are tied to a system that is more compatible with the skill set of that quarterback and the play calling and the rapport, the chemistry between that play caller and that quarterback and all that kind of stuff. So I do think that's what the Cowboys are hoping. They're hoping that a new system, maybe a new voice, and all of that will help Dak. Because I've said before, there's not a relationship in the NFL like Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott. There is not. There is no offensive play calling OC in the NFL who also competed against their franchise quarterback. Like literally was second string and he was third string, and then became the quarterback coach of that same quarterback, and then became the offensive play caller for that same quarterback. There is no hierarchy like that in the NFL, so it would have never happened. You could argue no team would have let it happen, but because they're really close, but maybe too close now.
Yeah,
maybe.
If the reports of him checking out of a bunch of plays and that not being addressed, that's probably where, hey man, maybe y'all are too close.
Yeah,
just gotta go. Hey man, just go learn a new hold.
No,
ready to go.
That. Learn a new hold. And somebody who's not learn a new hold, not hold. Some of y'all might get the wrong idea on the Spec Sex line. Hold, like wrestling hold, a maneuver. Not learn a new hold. Like you're in a bad marriage. All right, we'll come back. We'll get to Rod's Rat of the Day. We'll talk about what is kind of the cycle of life, the cycle of a championship window in the NFL. We'll talk about that a little bit more and other NFL news notes and nuggets right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right. I was going to a kind of football theory discussion, but since we're talking Cowboys, let's just continue the Cowboys discussion. It's a lot more fun to talk Cowboys, especially when they are relevant. A lot of moves being made. Dan Quinn staying with the Cowboys. Kellen Moore meeting with Mike McCarthy today or tomorrow. Mike McCarthy will not guarantee Kellen Moore's return next season. He didn't say he was fired or let go, but he would not guarantee his return. A lot of speculation there. 7 different assistant coaches and our administrative personnel that were recently let go by the Dallas Cowboys. So there's a lot going on with the Dallas Cowboys.
And we can also mention Frank Reich being hired as the Panthers head coach. Apparently, Kellen Moore was a finalist for this job, so he did not get that job, which means if they do want to keep him, he is more likely to stay because he's not listed as a finalist for any other job.
That's a great point. Yeah, I don't think he interviewed for any other job other than, but they did like him because he got second interview,
and all reports are that it was a hard decision.
Yeah, Albert Breer reporting that, he was like, no, actually Kellen Moore is one of the finalists for that job. He was like, don't rule him out. But obviously, Frank Reich is now the head coach of the Panthers. So let's talk about the Cowboys and just as an organization, some of the things I don't like about the Cowboys and some things I would like them to change. And I think ultimately these are more macro topics that have led to where the Cowboys are, and not that the Cowboys are they're not destitute by any means. I mean, they made it to the divisional round, but just trying to get over the top. And one of the things I did bring up that I always used to criticize about the Cowboys, I think everybody did, was that they had a failed philosophy about the safety position. I literally just talked about it and gave the stats about the safety position, and give it up for Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn has actually figured out what his take on positionless football. And by the way, I think that's another thing that Dan Quinn likes about the Cowboys. He's already started to build this monster. All right, it built around the philosophy and the principle of positionless football. I talked about this a lot when the 49ers were playing against the Cowboys, and Dan Quinn back in 2019 started experimenting with guys like Devondre Campbell, an all-pro with the Packers now, moving him around from off-ball linebacker to the edge rusher. Serendipitously goes to the Cowboys. They draft Micah Parsons. I think, obviously a lot, no coincidence. I think a lot of that was based on utilization, or at least the plan to utilize Micah Parsons by Dan Quinn. And when Dan Quinn came in, brought in guys like Jaron Kearse, also part of his positionless football blueprint, brought in guys like Keanu Neal, safety/linebacker. Recently, even in the draft, picking up guys like Makiamu, who he really likes, got some playing time even in the playoffs recently. He's 6'4", 215, kind of a Jaron Kearse starter kit. That's the path he wants to go down. And I've been studying Dan Quinn for a little while now, and I think the Cowboys are going to allow him to really expand on this theory. And he's got Micah Parsons, he's got Sam Williams, he's got Jaron Kearse, Mukuyamu, and the safety position allows you to be as versatile and as malleable as any defense out there when you can utilize the safety position and maximize it, weaponize it like he has. And even though the Cowboys have failed at trying to find value at the safety position, they believe they can skimp on the safety position when it comes to draft capital and salary cap capital. Since 2002, the Cowboys have only spent one pick on the top 125 on the draft on a safety, and they've actually haven't drafted since 2013. 75% of the NFL have drafted at least one safety in the first 2 rounds. The Cowboys have not, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they believe they can find value there and skimp on that position, and it's been a failure until Dan Quinn came along with his philosophy on positionless football, and bam, now they are one of the best safety cores in the NFL, and that is not a coincidence at all. So I think that's why Dan Quinn wants to stay there, because he has a vision for what he wants to do and how he wants to build this defense. It's built around safeties, the big nickels and big dimes, which are 3 safety sub packages, whether you're talking about your nickels or your dime package. And the Cowboys utilize a ton of it. They utilize 4 safeties actually. They played a dime defense versus San Fran, and this night they utilized 4 safeties and 2 cornerbacks. So I love Dan Quinn's mind. He's a football theorist. I love how progressive he is, and I think that's part of what made him so attractive to the Cowboys, but also what makes the Cowboys so attractive to him. So getting back to the Cowboys, one thing I also don't like about the Cowboys, just doing a little study in here too, you start looking at the rosters of other teams in the playoffs and how they're built. One of the most frustrating things about the Cowboys is they are almost too focused, overly obsessed with being homegrown. They are the most homegrown team in the NFL, and it ain't even close. 73% of the Cowboys' snaps from last season, 2021, sorry, not 2022, not this past season, but 2021, 73% of those snaps were from homegrown talent. Basically, guys that they drafted. The next, you go look at Philly. Philly was at 64% at that time. Teams like Green Bay were at 68%. You go look at free agents acquired who also are the biggest cap hits for teams. So free agent acquisitions who are also top 15 biggest cap hits for teams. You went and look at it and try to count the number of players who fit that criteria for the Cowboys. Only 3 this past season fit that criteria. For the Eagles, it was 6. For the Rams, it was 8. For Buffalo, it was 8. You get the point. And there's nothing wrong with being homegrown. I love their homegrown, and it is the cheapest. Not cheapest. It's the best. That's a bad way to put it. It is the most cost-effective way to build a roster and a football team. But you should explore every possible option when it comes to acquiring talent. Trades. Yes, of course, the draft should be the big part of that. But whether it be trades or undrafted free agents or just in the free agency market, the Cowboys need to explore more ways, diversify the ways they acquire talent. They don't do enough of that. They're too homegrown. It's just, I like homegrown too, but the Cowboys are too homegrown. And one other thing, and I've talked about this before with the Cowboys, and I think it is changing gradually, and you won't be able to, obviously, in retrospect, you can judge them, but not now. Now in the moment, it's going to be tough. But the Cowboys do need to address, as an organization, their lack of priority at the quarterback position, their lack of urgency, more about at the quarterback position. And it sounds crazy because they have Dak Prescott. I know that, but if you go look at the Cowboys over the last 20 years or so as an organization, and they still got the same guy who was the owner and / GM, so the criticism applies. They got to start drafting more quarterbacks overall. Not saying that they should draft quarterbacks to take Dak's spot or to upgrade over Dak. I'm not there. This is more of a macro issue, and this is looking back, like I said, over a couple of decades. But you go look at the teams that have drafted the most quarterbacks over the last 20 years, and the Cowboys are tied for the least with 6. Actually, no, I take it back. They have the second fewest with Indianapolis. And Kansas City has the fewest quarterbacks drafted in that time span, which is 5. And the Cowboys have 6, and that includes Isaiah Stanback, who most people was like, oh, that guy's a wide receiver, not a quarterback. And so that would drop the number down to 5. But they have been really lucky when it comes to quarterback. I'll give them a little credit, too, as an organization. They've been lucky, but also, hey, finding a Tony Romo and cultivating that talent is great. And then actually drafting Dak Prescott in the 4th round, even though they wanted Connor Cook and Paxton Lynch. But if not for those 2 key pieces, and one of them highly unlikely, it's like winning the lottery or being struck by lightning to have an undrafted free agent become a franchise quarterback. I believe it's happened maybe once or twice in the history of the NFL. Kurt Warner may have been the only one. So it's just really rare for an undrafted free agent to become a franchise quarterback. Hell, we might be watching Mr. Irrelevant, a 7th round pick, become a franchise quarterback. That's rare enough too. So the Cowboys have been counting on these rare happy accidents, if you will, and Dak Prescott is just that, right? Dak Prescott drafted in the 4th round. They didn't draft him to be the franchise quarterback. Turns out he ends up being that guy. But the argument can be made that if they had a healthier approach to drafting quarterbacks, that they'd be in a better place as an organization overall. And I think that's like San Francisco's drafted 13 quarterbacks since 2000. 13 of them. And I'm saying, like, some of them have been disasters, but some of them have worked out really well for them. And when you keep drafting quarterbacks, and we'll get into this later, maybe closer to the draft, it allows you, especially with the new salary cap, especially with the rookie wage scale, it allows you to reset the franchise and reinvent your organization, which is what San Fran has done as well as anybody. They reset and they reinvent. And the Patriots are in the same. Patriots drafted 13 quarterbacks. Hell, they had Tom Brady. And they were still drafting quarterbacks with Tom Brady because they understand most of these quarterbacks franchise quarterbacks, and not all of them, but a lot of them are essentially they're accidents. They're happy accidents. Dak is a happy accident. He's like Viagra. They didn't know they were making Viagra at the time. It was a heart drug, I think, for treating types of heart issues and cardiac issues. And then they had a fortunate byproduct, and then they would wake up feeling good, and they figured, you know what? If it can do that, then let's turn it into something else. It's a happy accident. Well, same thing with Dak Prescott. Nobody expected Dak Prescott to be the franchise quarterback. They drafted, him in the 4th round. They had Kellen Moore ahead of him, and Tony Romo was supposed to be the guy, but he was fragile. And then Tony Romo gets hurt, Kellen Moore gets hurt, Dak Prescott's the guy. They never looked back at Dak Prescott like a comet. I mean, really did. He was just a shooting star that rookie year, and he became the franchise quarterback ever since. And that's great, but remember, like I said, that's luck. I always say nobody knows what the hell they're doing when it comes to quarterback. I truly believe nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's just kind of throwing blank at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Well, for a lot of these organizations, and even for the New England Patriots, you could tell Belichick figured it out. Yeah, I am not some type of genius finding Tom Brady in the 6th round. We passed up on him multiple times. What he was looking for when he drafted 9 other quarterbacks after Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl and became the franchise quarterback, he was looking for the next Tom Brady. Because he figured, well, if I keep drafting quarterbacks, I'll find the next Tom Brady or something close to it. He never really did, but you can tell he understood the assignment, which is it's a healthy habit as an organization to draft quarterbacks. Baltimore's drafted 10 in that time span. Pittsburgh, and it's not always about drafting them in the top of the 1st round because you are in the basement as a franchise or you really need a franchise quarterback. No, like I said, the Patriots were drafting quarterbacks and they had a franchise quarterback. San Fran's often done it with a franchise quarterback. They drafted Purdy in the 7th round, already had their quarterback, had Jimmy G on the roster. They had 4 different quarterbacks actually at the time. They had Trey Lance, they had Jimmy G still on the roster, didn't know what to do with him. They had, was it Sudfeld? Maybe they had signed to, and then they had Brock Purdy and decided, all right, Brock Purdy's the guy.
Yeah.
After all that. So my point being, Cowboys need to start drafting more quarterbacks as a franchise, period.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is the point too, is you don't have to fall in love with every quarterback you draft. Not everyone has to be a long-term relationship that you love. And we saw with Dak, it worked out. They were in love with Johnny Manziel, and then they wanted to draft Paxton Lynch. They wanted to draft Connor Cook, and they end up getting Dak, and he's your starter. But it's not because you loved him, so you found him in a point where his value was very good at that point. You didn't overdraft for him, where now you feel like you got to use him. He said, hey, look, we've got these guys. We value them as we value any other position.
Exactly.
We're not treating the quarterback special in this. We're putting them into that realm of, hey, man, if this guy falls to here, he's a value. We should go grab him because we think he could be something. But if we don't want to reach. If people are reaching for him, stay away.
That's not value then. Yeah,
exactly. And so, but we know Jerry falls in love with people, and especially quarterbacks. And so he goes, no, I love that guy. Let's trade for him. No. You just got to draft some guys.
Trust
just
the
have
process.
it. And then, hey, man, if Dak gets hurt, and all of a sudden, it's not putting in Cooper Rush, but there's an actual quarterback controversy. As much as you don't want to have it, everybody really kind of wants it.
Yeah.
You want to have, hey, man, how great would it be if Cooper Rush was a guy that was on a rookie contract that you thought, hey, man, I know we're starting Dak, and look, this guy's not ready, but he could be?
Yeah.
What if it's that?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, I'm with you. I don't know if you'll ever end up hitting big or anything, but it does help you in a lot of different ways, whether it be he's going to be a backup quarterback, your future developmental quarterback, or, like I said, sometimes you just hit gold.
Or
look at Philly. Philly just struck gold. They were like, let's draft Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round because they just have a healthy organizational habit of drafting quarterbacks. And they hit gold. Did it with Nick Foles, too. They drafted Nick Foles. It was Nick Foles' 2nd round pick or something. And they let Nick Foles go, brought him back again. Then he's a Super Bowl MVP. It's a healthy habit to have. It really, and the Cowboys, they're unhealthy about the quarterback position.
Hey,
they
man,
always have been.
Put some pressure on your starter. I mean, they did that to Tom Brady plenty of times.
Hey, constantly.
Tom, you don't want to be in practice. Like you're already an MVP, so you don't want to maybe not show up as early. Jimmy G's here. Jimmy G's showing up to practice at 5:30 in the morning. You showing up at 6?
Great point. You know who else does that? Who did it? Green Bay.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Hey,
he won
Aaron.
the MVP.
Yeah,
Like,
twice.
He's like, oh, yeah, exactly. They put Jordan Love back there. He was like, what? You put this guy back here? Man, I'm going to show y'all. Show us, Aaron. Show us all. Show us
Prove
how
us wrong.
Prove us wrong, Aaron.
So much egg on my face.
That's exactly right. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into another Off the Record right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 Horn. All right, this must be out of my wrestling time period. So who
It
is
is.
this?
You will know who this is, though.
I don't know if I do.
No, I know not from the music, but this is Brock Lesnar's.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
So
know
you
Brock
do know who
Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar is.
Yeah, I know who Brock Lesnar is. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not familiar with the music though.
He was the one we were saying they alternate actors. I'm like, I don't think Brock Lesnar's acted in anything.
I think you're. Yeah, it's just a bit role, if anything.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm surprised about that too, actually.
Well, he's just like, he has his ranch.
Yeah, I guess he just
goes
doesn't care
out
about
there.
that kind of stuff.
You know who his wife is?
No,
Sable. If you remember her back in the day.
I do remember her back in the day.
That is his wife.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I went to the national combine down in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Goldberg was there. I meant to tell you that.
Bernie. He's a Bernie guy.
Yeah.
Lives in Bernie now.
And he had a son there apparently
Yes.
at the combine. And I couldn't
Yes.
find out who the son was, but I saw Goldberg there.
Well, it's Goldberg.
Well, I know, but I couldn't. I was looking for him and trying to figure out position. I couldn't find who it was, but man, wrestlers just love Texas.
Yeah, move down here.
Yeah.
You can get some land out of a lot of these places.
Man, that's pretty cool. It's interesting because, by the way, new theme Thursday. Theme of the day: multiple time Royal Rumble winners. Say that 5 times fast.
The Royal Rumble is this Saturday
Yeah.
down in San Antonio.
And man, Royal Rumble was one of my favorite wrestling events, along with loved Survivor Series. Wasn't that around like Thanksgiving or
Yes,
something like that?
it used to be a Thanksgiving tradition.
Yeah, Survivor Series was fun. I like that one. Man, what was another good one? Halloween Havoc was always fun for me. That was on WCW side. I'm telling you, I miss wrestling. Before I was a professional football player, I wanted to be a professional wrestler. Before that dream, the dream was to be a professional wrestler. I was going to be Black Scorpion, I believe was the name. And I had a finishing move. There was kind of a suplex slash like a suplex slash DDT kind of thing.
We got you. I mean, Goldust has a wrestling school down in town. We go down there and you can try out your moves.
Oh, no, I got no shot. I would have been more of a high-flying guy.
Yeah.
Kind of what,
They're very popular now, but you got to be really good at it now.
Yeah, I'd rather be kind of high-flying. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like, I don't know. I picture myself maybe as kind of a black Shawn Michaels, basically.
Okay,
Kind of
that's
something
good.
like that.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But either way, that dream obviously changed. Ended up becoming a dream about football, and got pretty close to accomplishing that one too. All right, we don't have enough time to get into off the record. I had a story, but you know what? We'll just push it for another time. There is a Austin FC story. Man, it's been breaking news all day. All throughout the show, we've had like 4 or 5 different stories that have broken right in the middle of the show, and there's another Austin FC. There's some news there. High profile resignation from Austin FC. So we'll talk about that. We'll also get back to the big news in the NFL. We haven't gotten to the Panthers hiring, or at least we did in the 3 o'clock. We'll get back to that conversation. Frank Reich hired as the Panthers head coach. We'll also get to Nathaniel Hackett. He was hired as the OC for the Jets. Jets. We'll get to that story, and we'll start to preview the conference championship a little bit. We've been so bogged down with breaking stories, hadn't got a chance to preview the conference championship yet. We'll do that as well on the other side. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. I know this is like a recent one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I've heard it on Monday Night Raw too much, I think. And not that I've watched it, but I think I like flipping through.
Yeah. I mean,
like
this
that.
guy was the product for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's now The Rock, he's the new going into acting.
Okay.
It's John Cena.
Okay. Yeah. So I figured.
And he is rapping his own theme in this as well.
Oh, that I did not know.
Yes, this is John Cena rapping on his own theme.
Man, that did I know. See, that's what I'm saying. John Cena was after my stage of wrestling, my stage of being a fan of wrestling. But yeah, I mean, I know in terms of the hierarchy, this guy was big time.
Yeah, he was the guy.
He's not. Okay, so because now we have a discussion about wrestlers, like the Mount Rushmore of all-time great wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I imagine that changes for everybody because there's this new generation. He's not in that discussion, is he?
Yes, he is.
He's in the Mount Rushmore discussion
Yes.
now. Okay.
And people don't like it that he is, but he's a 16-time champion.
Well, of course he is then if he's a 16-time champion.
And he was basically the face of the product
Okay.
from like the mid to late 2000s
Yeah.
till like
Kinda
a few
recent.
years ago.
I'm about to say, yeah, kind of
15-year
recent.
run.
When started going to
Yeah, like
acting,
probably a
basically.
15-year run
Yeah.
where he was the face of the product.
Okay, so he's in that. He's in the Mount Rushmore. My Mount Rushmore of wrestling is probably gonna have Ric Flair on it because I love me some Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Woo! The Nature Boy, who greatest mouthpiece in the history of wrestling, and if he decided he wanted to be, probably could have made more money as a televangelist or a motivational speaker because he's fantastic. I'll take. Oh, this is good. I'm gonna take Hulk Hogan because I was a Hulkamaniac. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I know people. And by the way, Hulk Hogan is not a racist, but Terry Bollea is. But now Hulk Hogan, he's a great American. I'll throw him out there. I'll throw The Rock. I put The Rock on there
Okay.
just because every wrestler now wants to take the path that The Rock has taken. And they're all trying to do it. John Cena, you just mentioned him. He's trying to do it. He's actually doing a damn good job. I don't know if he's gonna get to where The Rock is. Oh man, and that last spot.
I mean, there's an easy answer for this last spot.
Is it Andre the Giant?
I mean, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, see, you know what? Jeff Howe would say that too. I think Jeff Howe's a big Stone Cold fan.
Yeah, I mean,
See what the-
Stone Cold and The Rock, and you could say more Stone Cold was but it was only like a 6-year span, but it was the most profitable time in wrestling history.
I could be convinced to put him up there.
But it's
on
like
my
him,
last
John
one.
Cena's up there, Undertaker is another guy you can put in
Undertaker
there.
might be in there.
So
Yeah.
a lot of names that you could throw in there, and then you go old school Andre the Giant and
I would go Andre the Giant only as I said. I'm
Bruno
old, 'cause
San Martino.
Just 'cause- yeah, I'm old school, and the reason I'd probably go Andre the Giant old school is because he literally became like it was almost like say a phenomenon. Like just because how huge he was,
Yeah.
and the stories they still tell about Andre the
No,
Giant.
I mean like you go Dusty Rhodes because not only that, they had the
Dusty
book
Rhodes.
forever,
Dusty Rhodes is a good one too.
and son of a plumber from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, nah, you can go there. Yeah, no, you could. You can go there. That's a good point. I know we can go all day about.
That's what I'm saying. 4 people, it's hard. It's hard.
That's what makes it hard. That's what makes it tough. Who's your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? Who give me yours real quick.
It's probably Flair, Austin. I don't know.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It ain't easy,
Yeah.
man. Because I think I'm doing a disservice to like multiple generations.
Yeah, Macho Man Randy
I'm like,
Savage.
you can't even get deep. You
Come on,
can't
yeah,
even get deep.
you have to make it 4 on the text line. You can't just keep naming off 7 people.
Yeah, somebody
It's like
said,
it's
yeah.
hard.
Randy Savage. No, listen, Randy Savage, I'm with you. Talk about great mouthpiece. He's in the mouthpiece discussion.
If you've
That's
never
the
watched
greatest
his
mouthpiece.
documentary, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like it was this whole deal of where he was an undersized baseball player, and
Oh,
it was
yeah,
just like
somebody
when his
told me this,
baseball
actually.
dreams kind of went
Yeah.
through. Then he went into wrestling, but then he was like, oh, you need to like make a thing, and so he made that voice up. And if you listen to early clips, it's kind of like a weird version of that, but he was trying to be just like this wild man.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, brother, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, man, we could have that. We could talk about that all day. And you know what? I'm not even gonna go there, but I do think it's time. And I don't know when they can do it because you have to have. Man, you got to wait till so many people, I guess, pass away because you want to pay respect to their memory. You know, to make sure that you do it the right way. Man, but why we have not had like a movie or at least a series, like a serious like biodrama or dramedy or biopic, whatever, just about wrestling in a certain time period of it.
Because we had The Wrestler, which was
that was great. That was a great to kind of give you a behind the scenes view of
but
the
you're
life.
Saying like
I want the actual characters.
They've talked about.
I want somebody to play Macho Man. I want somebody playing Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing would be getting the actors. That really the casting is probably the biggest challenge. On top of getting like WCW and I don't know the WWF and the old rights to all of that stuff and getting that to put together, because I think you should go the era where both the WCW and WWF were going on at the same time too. And because they all knew each other and they were going back and forth. It was very incestuous.
So the movie's the Vince McMahon movie.
Oh, there you go.
That's it.
There you go.
And they've talked about doing it, but Vince is alive. I don't think it's going to happen.
Exactly. That's why I say you always got to wait till, unfortunately, people pass away.
And whoever on the text line said King Kong Bundy, are y'all related or something? He's great on Married with Children.
King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, he had a good run. But
you going to say Big Boss Man next? I mean, is that
King Kong Bundy. Come on now. He ain't on much. I mean, he may be the gut of Mount Rushmore. Like they're the faces. He's just the gut of it.
He's the gut of Mount Rushmore. But no, I think they can do. Like I said, biggest issue, you said it right. They probably got to wait to Vince McMahon. He's going to want total control of everything.
Yeah.
You got to be willing. He's got to give up some of that because some people, I'm sure, own some rights to other wrestlers and, their brand and their rights and other footage and old stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to do it the right way.
And you don't want to, and it's always going to be someone's going to get thrown on the bus with like 12 stories that happen to all these different guys.
Yes, it's like that Lakers, the one on HBO where all the old
Magic
Lakers
Time or Showtime.
Showtime, and all the old Lakers are upset about it. It's like, well, come on, man, we got to make it entertaining. They're like, that didn't really happen. It was like, yeah, we know it didn't happen like that, but we got to make it entertaining. They got so many great stories.
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable. You got to make it a series.
Oh,
really.
no.
You can't make it a movie.
There's a whole
too long.
podcast industry on wrestling now that love is because they're just carnies, man. These are stories from carnies.
I know, but like I said, the casting,
great.
The casting would be key. You get the right person to play Flair, because we know these characters so well. You got the right Vince McMahon, the right Dusty Rhodes, the right Flair, the right Hogan, the right Sting, Lex Luger. Oh man, don't get me started. That'd be fantastic. I have to spearhead this thing. Man.
It's
we
gonna
got
happen
the connections down here. We got to get in touch with the Undertaker, Mark Henry, legendary Mark Henry, and get him Hall of Famer, and we can get this thing going. All right. Let's talk about the big stories today that we have not addressed in a while because there's so much breaking news. If you haven't heard by now, the breaking news is Dan Quinn staying with the Cowboys. That is great news. Been talking about that all day. Kellen Moore is meeting with Mike McCarthy either today or tomorrow, and Mike McCarthy will not guarantee his return to the Cowboys. Some of y'all I can hear y'all celebrating through the Specs text line right now. So that is the case for the Cowboys, and they have let go of 7 different assistants that they have decided to assistants and administrative staff they've decided to let go as well. So there is an upheaval, if you will, happening with the Cowboys coaching staff. And also news in the NFL related, the Panthers hired Frank Reich. And we haven't talked about that in a while, but I said this earlier. Actually, I said this when Frank Reich was still coaching, Patrick, that his inevitable downfall, and it was inevitable at the time it happened, was going to be the instability at quarterback. The quarterback position means something different to everybody, right? For the fans, it's about hope for the future, all right, and optimism. For the owner, it's about jersey sales, face of your franchise, merchandising. For fans, honestly, fantasy football, I guess I should throw that out there too. But for head coaches, I think the quarterback position represents job security. And if you go look at an unstable quarterback position at the college or the pro level, big-time college or pro football, I guarantee you there's also a coach on the hot seat. There's a really good chance of a coach on the hot seat, too, if the quarterback position is unstable. And for Frank Reich, who made the playoffs 2 out of the 5 years that he was in Indianapolis, and I think probably could have made it 3 out of the 5 years, except Carson Wentz laid an egg against Jacksonville in the last game, he had a different quarterback every year. Andrew Luck, that's not his fault. That was just bad luck, no pun intended, that he retired. Then you got Jacoby Brissett and Brian Hoyer. Then you got Phillip Rivers the next year. Then you got Carson Wentz. Then you got Matt Ryan. Ultimately, that was his downfall, was his inability to stabilize the QB position. Couldn't do it. I don't know why.
And it's not only, and part of that is his relationship with the ownership and not being able to, I guess, keep his way. Where it is the owner. You have to do what they do. But if you put your foot down, you're like, well, fire me then. Like if you want to trade Carson Wentz, if you say this is not the guy because he won that game, that's my quarterback. I'll stick with it. And I get you can't always do that, but at a point when they go, hey, man, we lost this quarterback. Let me get this guy. And, okay, that's out. Now you want me to already bench Matt Ryan. We're trying to get this playing going. The biggest problem I had with him going into the season was his whole our job is not to get Jonathan Taylor the rushing record. And you were like, yeah, but you also have one of the best running backs in the league. You should use him. And I hate when former coaches who are quarterbacks pretend like running backs don't matter. Yeah. And they're like, no, but trust me, my system. You're like, cool, but your system's not working. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. He should have. They did regress, and so did Jonathan Taylor. And then by the end, everybody was injured and disengaged, if you will, for the most part. But yeah, I think he'll do a good job. But he's got to find a quarterback. And you talked about it earlier, Patrick, the Panthers, that's also been their big issue. They haven't been able to stabilize that position. So at least both Frank Reich and the organization, the Panthers, know where they stand. They know what they need to address and prioritize. You got to find your QB. And it may not be an elite prospect at quarterback, but you got to find a guy you can win games with. And, then maybe later on you can reset and upgrade, but you need to find a quarterback that you can win football games with while you continue to build the roster, build the culture. And I don't know exactly what that plan is right now. They do have draft capital, so they can move up in the draft if they want to. They can try to do that. The quarterback market looks like it's going to be a frisky market this year, whether it be Derek Carr out there as a possibility. You can go acquire that guy. There will be other options, I'm sure, with teams. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be an option for them or not, but there will be quarterbacks who are available either on the free agent market or available for a trade if that's the route they want to go. But I would exhaust multiple. I'd get a quarterback if I was them via free agency, and then I probably would draft one too. And they still have Matt Corral, I believe. There.
Yeah, who got hurt early in the season. So he basically never even got a chance, even when they were bad, to get any playing time. So you don't really have an evaluation on him yet.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So he could, because he hurt himself, I think, in preseason or like very early in practice. So he missed the entire season. So even in the time when Sam Darnold was struggling and P.J. Walker was struggling, that you normally would have put him in, or when you cut Baker Mayfield and all that. I forgot Baker Mayfield even played there.
I know. That's crazy.
That's how much turmoil they've had that you forgot Baker Mayfield was their starting quarterback at the beginning of this year.
I forgot about that, too. I really did until you brought it up.
That's crazy. That's how much turmoil they have had at quarterback.
And then they started winning when they got rid of all those other pieces, everything.
Well, and Matt Rule.
And Christian McCaffrey.
And by the way, Steve Wilkes is not thrilled he did not get the job.
He deserved
He
deserved
did.
a shot,
and his lawyer has already put out a statement. So
he's not going to be the organization anymore. Is he?
Oh, I would assume after you put out a statement that it is crazy that this guy almost got you in the playoffs after your season was tanked, and you don't give him the job, and you give it to another guy who got fired this year.
Yeah. It's not a good look.
I can see where they could be like, man, come on.
He's not going to join like a lawsuit or anything, is he?
I don't know. His lawyer said they will make future statements.
Oh no.
So Steve Wilkes not thrilled with Carolina right now.
He deserved a real shot at getting that job. I don't know if they gave him a real shot at the job, but he deserved it. Man, he did a hell of a job at the end of the year.
Yeah, I believe they said the three final candidates were Steve Wilkes, Frank Reich, and Kellen Moore. So it was those.
Kellen.
Well, and that was it. Then they wanted to go with someone proven, so they went with Frank Reich, who. Again, I'm not sure he's proven. He did okay in the AFC South. And you're now in the NFC East or the NFC South, so you can.
Yeah, listen, I like Frank Reich. Let me just say that I think Frank Reich actually is a good coach. Is he a great coach, and can he evolve? So did he learn the lessons from the last failed tenure with the Colts, which was, I think the biggest lesson was stabilize quarterback, because his first 3 years, he makes the playoffs in 2 of those first 3 years, and everybody's thinking to themselves, Frank Reich's building something pretty good there.
Yeah.
Frank Reich is on the right path. And then Phillip Rivers retires, and then he brings in Carson Wentz. And if Carson Wentz had shown up and played well in that last game of the season, that Jacksonville game, and he made the playoffs, he'd have been in the playoffs 3 of his first 4 years with that team.
Do you think he goes back to Carson Wentz again?
No, hell no. Hell to the no.
You think he's done with him?
Yeah, he's done.
I mean, he's out of Washington.
You can't, dude. You cannot put your eggs in that basket again. That's what, dude. No, you can't do it. That's how you end up with egg on your face. You can't do that again. So I think that ultimately. So because remember what I said about the quarterback position and the perception of you being a quarterback guru.
Yeah.
And right now it is you can argue it's a great kind of niche industry to be in. That if you are known as a guy that can, revitalize quarterbacks or that can maximize the quarterback position, it essentially is a growth industry. It's basically what being a programmer was during the 90s tech boom, or being a botanist during this legalized marijuana boom in America right now. You're on the ground floor of a growth industry, and there aren't a lot of experts, and you're considered one of them. And that's what a guy like Frank Reich was considered. Like, oh no, look what he did with winning a Super Bowl with a Nick Foles as his starting quarterback. Look what he did with him. And for a while, we were actually admiring the fact that he was able to get to the playoffs with multiple different starting quarterbacks. Look what he's doing with those quarterbacks. That guy, he can work wonders with almost any quarterback. Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck, Nick Foles, doesn't matter. And then Carson Wentz happened. And what did I say about Kellen Moore's reputation? He was getting a lot of love when Dak Prescott was playing well. And all of a sudden, Dak Prescott's not playing well, and he's regressing, and now he's only getting one interview for a head coaching job, just one. A few years ago, he was getting multiple interviews. His name was popping up all the time because your value as a quarterback guru, quarterback nurturer in this growth industry is linked to the quarterback performance. So when your quarterback is balling, you better get the hell out of Dodge and maximize it right then and there, because if you don't and your quarterback starts to regress, you will be attached to the reputation, the stigma of that quarterback, whether it's bad or good. And to me, Frank Reich, Carson Wentz got him. He basically got attached almost to like the stank of Carson Wentz. For some, I remember the Seinfeld episode about the BO, and they said the O was supposed to leave with the B, right? But the BO just stuck around in Jerry's car. That's Carson Wentz. Somehow Carson Wentz's odor, the odorous stank of Carson Wentz's play, it was foisted upon Frank Reich, and he can't get rid of it. And he used to be known as a QB guru.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now all of a sudden he's not, because of Carson Wentz and what happened at the end of the failed Matt Ryan experience. So to me, that's why Frank Reich, he's getting this job, is because that ownership believes he's still a quarterback guru. Is he? I think he is still. I just think Carson Wentz is a project that nobody needs to take on anymore. There are bigger issues at stake there, big issues at play, I should say, with Carson Wentz, that I don't know if any quarterback guru or nurturer short of. Hey, I love to see Brian Daboll with Carson Wentz, honestly. I'd love to see a Sean McVay with him. I do. I want to see
if there's anything left.
Yes, of what everybody said was a top 5, top 10 prospect coming out.
Yeah. And what looked like an MVP candidate until he got hurt. Like that season with the Eagles that they won the Super Bowl, he was an MVP candidate.
Yes, he was.
Until he got hurt. So it's not just that he was a prospect. It's that he did show the hope in the league. Because there's a difference of, hey, man, this guy's top prospect. Jamarcus Russell was a top prospect. And then immediately that was proven wrong.
Very true.
He was a MVP candidate. So, yeah, it'd be interesting, but it's also a lost cause at this point.
I know. And did he sound like what's his deal with the Washington
he's gone,
team?
though. It doesn't matter.
I know he's gone. Yeah. So I wonder if anybody's going to go, you know what? Bring him over here. We can do something with him. Can he go?
No, I mean, and that's like, we can look over at Baker Mayfield the same way and go, is he going to, now that he had a couple good games with the Rams keep him?
Yeah.
Did they got Stafford coming back, or did someone else take a shot on him? And how many teams can he play for before everyone says, because Carson Wentz, it took his third team.
It's amazing.
For everyone to go, all right.
We're done with it.
Yeah, we're done with it.
Then you look at a Geno Smith, and you go, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that's why the quarterback position is such a mystery. It's one of the great mysteries in sports. One of the great mysteries of our time, period. But getting back to the NFL, just get to our conference championship previews, and we'll break this down tomorrow, I guarantee you, from every different angle. But a couple of things that I've been researching about these two matchups, the Final Four of the NFL. Let's go first to Joe Burrow. And the Cincinnati Bengals. And I should have started with Lou Anarumo, because that's where I've been doing most of my research. Because Lou Anarumo's defense, the deeper I go rabbit holing about it, the more I like it. It is easily the most creative defense arguably in the NFL right now. The best, no, not the best, not the best, not the most opportunistic, but the most creative. And how do we know this? This is what I looked up. Average time to throw. So I looked up average time to throw, 3-year average of the best quarterbacks in the league, but then looked at their average time to throw when they're facing Lou Anarumo's defense and what the average was. Very interesting stuff. Let's start with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes averaged 2.7 seconds as his average time to throw in a 3-year span. Against Lou Anarumo's defense, he's over 3 seconds. Lamar Jackson, 2.88 is his average time to throw, but when he goes against Lou Anarumo's defense, he's over 3 seconds, 3.07. Justin Herbert, 2.67 seconds average time to throw. When he goes against Lou Anarumo's defense, goes to 2.85. Aaron Rodgers, 2.57 seconds average time to throw in the last 3 years. When he goes up against Lou Anarumo's defense, 2.97. And Josh Allen, 2.77 seconds to throw against Lou Anarumo's defense. That is a 2.99 seconds to throw. So what it's telling me is that the pre-snap and the post-snap disguise and shell are forcing quarterbacks or stupefying quarterbacks, discombobulating them to the point where they're having trouble processing the coverage and the defense based on their pre-snap read and then the post-snap diagnosis. It takes a little extra second to go, whoa, that safety, oh, what the hell? And that extra second, that's all you need to get to the quarterback. And strangely enough, you're going to look at Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is, and I looked at the average time to throw versus Mahomes, Rodgers, Allen, Herbert, all those guys against Lou Anarumo's defense and just added them up and just gave you the average. They're all combined, the average, over 3.01 seconds time to throw for all those elite quarterbacks I just mentioned versus Lou Anarumo's defense. So I'll give you another stat about this that it kind of adds to the intrigue. So in 2021, the regular season, Mahomes' average time to throw was 2.84 seconds. That was 12th, and it was 2.89 seconds in 2022, both 12th. So he's around the same, 2.8, 2.84, 2.89. Week 17, 2021 versus the Bengals, Lou Anarumo's defense, Mahomes' average time to throw, 3.11. His highest game in 2021. In the AFC Championship game versus the Bengals, Mahomes' average time to throw, 3.03 seconds. Way above average for him. 2022, Week 13, Bengals versus Mahomes, Lou Anarumo's defense, forced Mahomes to hold on to the ball, 3.21 seconds. His highest game in the last 2 years. Mahomes' time to throw was above 3.0 seconds in each of his last 5 losses going back to last year's initial meeting with Cincinnati. Something about Lou Anarumo's defense that makes Patrick Mahomes hold on to the ball. And if you can force him to hold on to the ball just a little bit longer, the pass rush can get home. Think about this. Mahomes only lost 2 games all year against in the 2020 season. Mahomes only lost 2 games all year against the Raiders in the regular season and the Bucs in the playoffs. This is 2020. The Raiders used their 4-man rush to make Mahomes hold on to the ball for an absurd 3.71 seconds. And that was the only thing that really kind of stood out, and kind of looking at what was the outlier there, and while the Raiders were able to match up well with the Kansas City Chiefs, who were balling. And in that Super Bowl 55 against Tampa Bay, Patrick Mahomes, we saw him in that game. I think it was he actually held on to the ball 3.51 seconds. He got pressured 29 times in the game, but held on to the ball for 3.51 seconds. If you want to beat Patrick Mahomes, you got to force him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. Whether it be with pre-snap show disguise looks, or whether that be, force it, playing tighter coverage early on, playing bump and run coverage. You got to force him to hold on to the ball so the pass rush gets home. That's probably the biggest commonality or common denominator at all the, it ain't subpar performances, because he rarely has subpar performances, in the losses that Patrick Mahomes has had. It ain't been many, and especially against the Bengals. Lou Anarumo does a great job of forcing quarterbacks to process just a little bit longer, and while they're processing, they're holding on to that ball That's how they get home. It's crazy. Yeah. So he's doing a great job changing fronts, disguising coverages, forcing defense to decipher what that pre-snap shell disguise is, and nobody does it better than Lou Anarumo. I don't know why he's not getting more head coaching love. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't either.
It doesn't make sense.
And it's not like a secret.
It's not. But he's done it to the best quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. He does it to Lamar Jackson. Like, you have a sample size now. I don't know what's going on. There's something that we don't know about Lou Anarumo, I guess. Not saying bad or anything, but I don't know why teams aren't more interested in him. Okay, that's enough of a little conference championship preview. We'll preview it in more detail tomorrow. We'll get to both matchups, I promise you that, and get it from every angle. And I'll give you my official picks. Patrick will give you his official picks, and Harge will give you his as well. All right, we come back. I want to play some audio of the Bills GM taking a shot at the Cincinnati Bengals. And maybe it wasn't a shot. Maybe he was just keeping it real when keeping it real goes wrong. We'll talk about that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a new theme Thursday, and the theme for today, very specific theme, multiple time Royal Rumble winners. That's basically the theme for the day. Yes. And their intro music is what my man Patrick's been playing for a new theme Thursday. Got us into a lot of good conversations about wrestling and the history of it. And what I will do tomorrow, because now y'all got me hyped, I know I have it somewhere because I refuse to throw stuff away, so my wife is complaining about it all the time. I once went down a rabbit hole, and because this idea about making a movie about wrestling in kind of my heyday of being a fan of wrestling and wanting to make a movie about it or a series, biopic, whatever, I actually did the work of casting all of the major wrestlers that I thought would be in the movie. And I'm going to try to find the list and bring it tomorrow. Yeah. And it's I don't know, it took me a while too. Got to go through all the different actors and then try to figure out who may look like who. So we'll have some fun with that.
If it was too long ago, you're going to be like, well, now that guy's too old.
You're right. It might, honestly, it's a great point because it was a while ago. It was a minute ago. So it might be, I might need to update the list, but we can do that. We can have some fun with that because I want to keep alive the movie or the series. Somebody's going to do it, and it's going to be wildly popular. And everybody's going to be like, yeah, that should have been a no-brainer. Why Netflix or somebody else didn't do it before? It's crazy. They got the Glow movie.
They do.
The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, which I used to watch back in the day. I remember watching Glow. You remember watching Glow back in the day?
No, I don't think I ever watched it.
You never watched it? Oh, man. It used to come on back in the day, like late night. I remember watching the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Not all of them were gorgeous, but I appreciated them nonetheless. All right, let's get to – I want to get to this NFL story, and then we'll get back to breaking down the matchup between the Final Four in the NFL. So the Bills GM – and apparently this, I don't know if he was taking a shot or not, but I believe the question is in the audio here.
It is not.
Oh, it's not?
It is not.
Okay.
We can tell you.
Okay. Well, basically, the Bills GM was being asked about the Cincinnati Bengals. And the fact Cincinnati Bengals have so much weaponry built around Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You got 2 number 1 wide receivers and all that, Joe Mixon and all that. So he was basically asked about providing more support on the offense, or at least on the roster, period, for Josh Allen, trying to build your roster like the Cincinnati Bengals. Here was his answer or retort to that question.
No, they have a good team. I mean, they right now are on the advantage of a rookie quarterback contract. And, they had some lean years, and without getting too much into their build, and I don't want to suck bad enough to have to get Jamar Chase. Like, he's a heck of a talent. I'd love to have him, but you gotta go through some lean years to do that. And they were able to get Burrow 1, and I don't remember where Chase was drafted, but it was pretty high. And those guys are on their rookie deals. We're paying Stephon Diggs a pretty hefty number. We're paying Josh Allen a pretty hefty number. So there is the constraints of the cap, but they have a really good team, and they got some good young players.
Some people deem that as him taking a shot when he said, I don't want to, be bad enough to draft high so I can get a guy like Jamar Chase. I mean, maybe it was, but I think he was just keeping it real. We all know having a franchise quarterback on a rookie contract is arguably the biggest advantage in major American team sports. Hell, you'll have how many in this Final Four? 3? You have 3 players on their rookie deals in this Final Four, 3 of the 4 on their rookie deals. I mean, it just helps. Now, is it the end-all be-all? No, look at Kansas City, what they're doing. You can compete without a quarterback on a rookie deal. Hell, the 49ers were able to get there with Jimmy G. It wasn't on a rookie deal. There are plenty of ways to skin a cat, but there's no doubt it is a huge advantage to be able to build your roster with, 90% of your salary cap as opposed to 70% of it or 75% of it, whatever your quarterback's going to cost.
Yeah, and I mean, for the Kansas City Chiefs, yes, and you knew when you had Patrick Mahomes, you had already won a Super Bowl on his rookie contract.
He already done it.
He had done it on his rookie contract, so you knew, all right, this is it. If we want to keep the window open, we have to pay him a lot of money, and we have to make other tough decisions like letting Tyreek Hill go, which, hey, man, we're still winning without him.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm the GM, I'm like, well, let's go look at the Chiefs, who took away that weapon and they're still winning. It's like there's multiple ways. There's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
I don't know why you want to skin a cat.
I know why. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why that is a thing. Who came up with sicko? Was that Jeffrey Dahmer saying? Like, who came up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's a weird saying, but we all know it.
No, I'm going to stop saying it. I'm sorry. Sorry, cat owners. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Patrick, for pointing that out, by the way. That's sick that is. It really is.
To go into you don't necessarily, not everything has to be built the same way. If I'm there, I'm not worried about, do we need more wide receivers? They traded for Stephon Diggs because they knew they needed a big wide receiver. Gabe Davis is a good wide receiver.
And it worked.
I mean, they have multiple good wide receivers. I might be talking about the running back and running the ball. That might be more of my concern.
Yeah.
I might say, hey, man, we lost Dable, and everything seemed to go haywire. What are we doing to make sure to stabilize our offense? Because they look really good, but we're a turnover machine now.
Yeah.
And not the good way.
Draft Bijan is what you need to do. If you can. I don't know if you can, but drafting Bijan would help. Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this, and everybody understands it. When you have a quarterback that is on that rookie deal, that is the start of your window. But it's not you don't have just that contract as the window, but it is the start of the window, and you can expand your window. That depends on how you build around that franchise quarterback. And I've talked about it before. The NFL will allow you to essentially reset. Well, the largest expense for most Americans is rent or mortgage, housing, whatever it is for you. Most Americans spend between 25 to 35% of their annual earnings on housing, period. Essentially, that's the NFL with quarterback. All right? Imagine if somebody told you for about 4 years you only had to pay about 10 to 15% of your rent or your mortgage. Imagine what you could do. 4 years of that extra money. Savings, pay bills, get out of debt, pay for the kids' college, new car, renovate the kitchen. Man, you'd be coming up. All right, with that extra money, that extra bread that you could have if you didn't have to pay so much money for your largest expense for everybody, which is housing. That's what a quarterback on a rookie contract does. You're essentially rent controlled. All right, and you can do that for 3 or 4 years, but every now and then the bill will come due. But in those 3 or 4 years, imagine how you could stack your roster. And that's when you really have a chance to maximize the window. After that, the bill is due. You're not going to be able to maximize that window like that because you do have to pay the quarterback. But in that short time span, that's why teams go all in. That's why Philly's offseason was so hectic. They're like, all right, we got the quarterback. We got him. All right, let's go. Let's go right now because they've done it before. They did it all. They tried to do it with Carson Wentz. Didn't work. They've done it before, resetting the franchise, but recognizing once you find the quarterback, that's when the window starts. Go, because you don't got long. Go. Yeah,
because you're gonna have to change the entire plan, and you're gonna hope that you have a quarterback that can stay healthy and stay at that elite level for years and years, which just isn't the case for most quarterbacks. Most quarterbacks hit a peak and then can be good, but they're not at a, hey, man, once you take away A.J. Brown and once you take away some of my weapons, now all of a sudden, Miles Sanders isn't here. Yeah. I've lost all my weapons. Now maybe I'm not that quarterback anymore.
I know.
That's when that window really starts to close hard on you because now you've paid your quarterback, but that means you got to get rid of his toys. And once you get rid of his toys, he may not be as good.
Yeah, and everybody in the NFL is praying and hoping that the money that they're going to earn, the revenue the NFL is going to earn from legalized sports betting and all their gambling partnerships is going to add a ton to the salary cap. And word on the street is it will add a ton to the salary cap. And you got those new broadcast deals also. They're going to kick in and add even more to salary cap. So salary cap will exponentially grow over the next few years, hopefully, but making it easier to sign those quarterbacks and build a team. But the quarterback position also exponentially continues to grow in value and increase in value, I should say.
And I can give you the thing of what you really want to do is because once the salary cap goes up, then people want more money. What you need, what you want to know, what you want to be is the team who signs a bunch of long-term deals right before the salary cap takes a big jump. And the example I can give you is the Oklahoma City Thunder when they had Durant, Harden, and Westbrook. James Harden's salary came up, and they were like, we can't afford to pay all three, so they shipped him off.
Yep.
If they would have given him a max deal, the salary cap jumped like $40 million. You basically got another free max contract. They could have kept all three, but they reacted instead of playing it out and waiting for those other contracts to come up and playing and getting it, and they ended up losing all three of them eventually and never winning a title. They could have kept James Harden, but they were unaware. They didn't want to play the risk of, hey, will the salary cap jump? We can't afford to be in the luxury tax and all that. It ends up jumping. So you want to do it in the right time, where if you play it right and you have an owner who's willing to risk it and go, hey, man, we may have to pay some extra in luxury taxes and other stuff like that.
You're right.
We can hit it right at that moment, and then we get that jump of betting money in or whatever else we get in. Man, now we're sitting pretty because we've got all these guys on contracts
already
that were
locked
big.
Up. Yeah.
And now they're not big anymore.
That's a great point. Yeah. That's, you know who did that a little bit, kind of? Kansas City.
Yeah.
That long deal with Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Oh, he's going to be like the 15th highest paid quarterback at the end of that deal.
You have to renegotiate, but at least you locked yourself into that rate, if you will. Good stuff there. All right, we come back. We'll wrap it up, put it in the oven, let you know what's on tap. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Gotta get it quickie here. We're in and out a little bit late on the break, but I want to thank my man Patrick for all that he did today on a new theme Thursday. Appreciate all your participation on the Specs text line as well. Tomorrow, same time, same channel, we'll be breaking down the Final Four in the NFL. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Coming up next, don't we got
Longhorn Weekly.
Yes, we got head coach Rodney Terry live at the West Campus. Pluckers, get out there, have some wings, and go hang out with the head coach and Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns. We'll be right back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Love you guys. Peace.